Chapter 2394. Lou Limo's expression changed drastically. The moment the two crimson puppets appeared in front of Lou Limo, their crimson bodies started to heat up. Their metallic bodies seemed to be burning with a crimson flame. The surrounding air was filled with a scorching aura, as if it was about to catch on fire. It could even burn one's primordial spirit. Each of the puppets unleashed a scorching claw attack. The two claw marks tore apart the space in front of their respective claw marks. Everything happened as fast as lightning, distorting the space. It was so fast that it was impossible to dodge. Lou Limo was shocked, but she quickly reacted. She could not dodge at all. She waved her hand and a sword appeared in her hand. She activated her sword technique and drew in the energy of heaven and earth. Thousands of sword radiances appeared in an instant. Waves of energy filled the air and condensed into a huge sword-like tornado. It twisted the space and swept out, instantly blocking the two puppets. In an instant, the sword radiance and the claw marks collided again. However, the sword radiance and the claw marks were only in a stalemate for a moment. At the same time, a blinding light shot out and the bright sword radiance was torn apart by the claw marks. A large area of space was torn into pieces at this moment. Monstrous energy swept out and broke through the air, shattering the void. Lou Limo's face turned pale again. She spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered back. The Saint weapon sword in her hand was also knocked to the ground. The first puppet that made the first move quietly broke through the air and appeared in front of Lou Limo, who was stumbling back. At the same time, another claw was sent towards Lou Limo. Am I going to die in the hands of these puppets? Lou Limo's expression changed. She hurriedly arranged a profound chi halo around her body and retreated quickly. She knew that she could not defend against these puppets with her strength. The puppet's claw landed on the profound energy halo in front of Lou Limo in an instant. The scarlet flames from the claw poured onto the former's profound energy halo, causing the halo to ignite. The talisman engravings were obliterated and after a short stalemate, the halo around Lou Limo's body shattered. The claw distorted the space and landed on Lou Limo's shoulder. Once these words were spoken, it would probably be enough to tear his shoulders apart. At this critical moment, an ancient flag appeared on Lou Limo's shoulder and fluttered in the air. The blazing talisman runes were like the fluctuations of the sun, blocking the claw print. It was an ancient defensive saint artifact. It was damaged and cracked, but it was still a defensive saint artifact. Not long ago, Lou Limo had obtained it and refined it, making it hers. Whoosh! A sharp tearing sound resounded. The ancient flag blocked the claw print, but it only lasted for a moment before it was torn apart. The sharp aura of the claw print still hit Lou Limo's shoulder. Lou Limo's alluring body was instantly sent flying like an angel with broken wings. She smashed into the ground far away, causing cracks to appear on the ground where she landed. Gravel flew everywhere. Puff! Puff! Within the cracks on the ground, Lou Limo spat out another mouthful of sovereign blood. On her cold and enchanting face, the corner of her mouth was dyed red, adding to her poignant beauty. Although the defensive saint artifact was damaged, it still saved her life. These puppets were at the intermediate stage of the Sage realm. So, everyone knew how troublesome and dreadful these puppets were. Generally speaking, the initial stage of the Sage realm would be enough to make a Sage expert at the peak of the initial stage of the Sage realm to treat them seriously. In fact, they wouldn't dare to be careless in the slightest. Moreover, these puppets were not ordinary Middle Sage realm. Lou Limo estimated that these Middle Sage realm puppets were definitely at the end of the Middle Sage realm. Lou Limo had just stepped into the Saint realm not long ago, so she couldn't fight against these Middle Saint realm puppets. Moreover, there were a total of 7 puppets. These puppets seemed to have a mind of their own. Right now, only 3 puppets were attacking. The remaining 4 puppets seemed to be watching the show and had no intention of attacking at all. However, the 3 puppets did not stop. The 3 puppets did not give Lou Limo any time to react. In a short moment, their figures flashed once again. The 3 terrifying puppets pounced on Lu Limo at the same time. 3 sharp claw prints pierced through the space. Whoosh! The 3 puppets were too terrifying, and their speed was unimaginable. 3 sharp claws trapped Lu Limo within, and a blazing gale swept out, causing Lu Limo's dress to flutter and her hair to dance in the wind. Shit! Whoosh! Faced with the joint attack of the 3 terrifying puppets, Lu Limo's cold and enchanting face turned extremely solemn. She was completely powerless to resist. It was as if she had already sensed the aura of death. She was afraid that she would fall in the hands of these puppets today. Whoosh! Whoosh! The space seemed to have been torn apart. A purple figure flashed out in front of Lu Limo. In a flash, the purple figure appeared in front of Lu Limo. With a shake of his arm, he sent out a palm print. The surrounding space was instantly filled with wind and clouds. Dazzling runes appeared along with a golden light. Majestic profound chi surged and instantly turned into 3 afterimages. Such a palm print carried a sharp aura, and with the momentum of a thunderbolt, it landed on the claws of the 3 puppets with a loud bang. Rumble! Boom! In an instant, the 3 palm imprints and the 3 claw imprints of the 3 puppets collided with each other in the most powerful way. The 3 terrifying claw imprints were only in a deadlock for a moment. Just as a dazzling light burst out, the 3 palm imprints appeared with golden light and actually shattered the claw imprints of the 3 puppets. With a deep sonic boom, a monstrous force whistled out and the 3 puppets were immediately sent flying. The purple figure also swayed slightly. His face was filled with shock. The attack power of these 3 puppets was comparable to a peak middle saint stage expert. Coupled with the fact that the puppets were in labor, they weren't easy to deal with. At this moment, Lu Limo, who was in despair, looked at the purple figure that suddenly appeared. When she sensed the familiar aura, her cold and enchanting face changed. How could she not recognize this purple-robed youth? Just like the rumors, he wasn't dead. He was still alive and did not fall in the hands of the expert from the Beast Alliance. Rock Emperor! Lu Limo was shocked. Lu Limo was stunned. She was so surprised that she couldn't believe her eyes. She had never expected the person in front of her to be here. Are you all right? Yes. Du Xiaofu turned his head and smiled faintly. Originally, he was looking for little Xingxing and Du Xiaoyao. Who knew that he would discover the commotion here from afar? He also did not expect to meet Lu Limo here. After which, Du Xiaofu's gaze swept across his surroundings. He could sense that this place was extraordinary. This was especially so for those puppets. There was actually a total of 7 of them. If every single one of them possessed such terrifying strength, they would definitely be a terrifying force to be reckoned with. I'm fine. I can still hold on. Yes. Looking at the purple-robed youth in front of her, Lu Limo stuffed a few elixirs into her pale mouth. She forced a smile on her cold and enchanting face. She was shocked again and said, "Be careful." Yes. Rumble. Yes. At this moment, in this short instant, the eyes of the 3 puppets that had been forced back by Du Xiaofu surged with a ferocious aura. The 3 puppets seemed to have shattered the void and pounced over once again. Under the astonishing momentum, the space seemed to have been smashed apart. When the 3 puppets moved, Du Xiaofu had already sensed the commotion. He raised his eyebrows and golden light surged on the surface of his body. His feet were like a deity as he turned around and retreated at a ghostly speed. He opened his palms like a palm leaf fan and flapped the sky-shaking wings. Wherever his palms passed, faint golden talisman runes flickered and condensed, forming an arc-shaped golden spatial dent around his palms. The golden talisman runes were densely packed and layered like the golden wings of a golden-winged rock. A domineering and ferocious aura suddenly spread out from Du Xiaofu's body and swept out, causing the space to tremble. The 3 puppets pounced towards Lu Limo, but they were swept away by the golden light that appeared in the space. The space was about to collapse inch by inch, but the 3 puppets blocked the attack. Woo woo! The 3 puppets raised their heads and let out a low roar. In an instant, their bodies emitted a blazing red light. Their arms waved like the sharp claws of a ferocious bird. Numerous sharp claws tore through the space at the same time. Strange talisman runes surged out as they attacked at the same time. They actually tore apart Du Xiaofu's sky-shaking wings. Very intentional. The three puppets tore apart the sky-shaking wings. The three puppets had just flashed out when Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in front of the three puppets at the same time. His face was slightly surprised. The three fist seals in his hands were as fast as lightning and landed on the bodies of the three puppets like rolling thunder. Bang! 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 The three puppets were directly sent flying by the three deep sonic booms. The bodies of the puppets fell to the ground in the distance, causing the earth to shake and rocks to shoot out. This time, Du Xiaofu used all his strength. Although the three puppets were powerful, Du Xiaofu's current strength was not the same as before. Even if he encountered an ordinary expert of the later stage of the Saint Realm, he could still contend with them. Chi la la. Chi. When those three puppets were sent flying, the remaining 6 to 4 puppets, who had been emitting monstrous murderous auras, suddenly revealed a ferocious murderous aura within their hollow eyes. The talisman runes on the bodies of the 4 puppets seemed to be alive. 4 blazing claws struck out, triggering a majestic energy. In an instant, the entire space of the huge square suddenly seemed to be on fire. The high temperature descended, forming a sea of fire. Chi la. 4 incomparably fierce claws tore through the void in an instant, like 4 fireballs falling from the sky, trapping Du Xiaofu in them. Green spirit armor. Chi. Rock descends to the 9th heaven. Chi. Heavenly horse violent palm. Chi la. Du Xiaofu's expression changed. These were 4 puppets, not a single expert of the Saint Realm. Puppets were much more difficult to deal with than experts of the same level. They were also more dangerous. Just as the 4 puppets pounced forward, Metropolis Fu's expression changed slightly. He let out a soft cry, and a golden light flashed beneath his feet. The cyan spirit armor appeared at the same time, and the golden rock wings shone with boundless golden light. He flapped his wings and rose into the air. Covered by the green spirit armor, the rock descends to the 9th heaven, and the heavenly horse violent palm, the light was monstrous. Suddenly, in the void around Du Xiaofu, there was a sky full of palm prints pouring out like a rainstorm. In an instant, countless palm prints burst out, and the palm prints burst the void, destroying everything. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was almost at full strength. Carrying the domineering will of the golden-winged rock, he urged the rock descends to the 9th heaven. It was as if the rock had descended, sweeping its wings, and suppressing everything. Rumble! Chi la! Golden runes burst out, and it was as gorgeous as fireworks, causing the surrounding void to be resplendent. In a short moment, the thunderous momentum gathered into a storm, and the terrifying energy shattered the spatial ripples, and fiercely blasted towards the 4 puppets. Boom! 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 This kind of might swelled with a lightning-like speed that could not be seen with the naked eye. It collided with the 4 puppets, and carried a low and deep sonic boom. An instant later, a frightening wind swept apart in all directions. Rumble! Boom! The golden light was resplendent, and the runes were blazing. A terrifying gale of energy swept out, and the spatial ripples in the air exploded inch by inch. The claws of the 4 puppets were directly shattered, and the entire space trembled. The 4 puppets' bodies fell from the air, and directly fell to the ground. The 4 puppets' bodies fell, and the square below shook, and the ground around their bodies instantly cracked. Lu Limo looked at all of this with astonishment in her beautiful eyes. Although she had heard rumors that the Rock Emperor's strength seemed to have skyrocketed, and that he had joined forces with others to scare away the blood-malevolent ancestor of the Ro Owl clan, she was shocked. However, when she saw Du Xiaofu's strength with her own eyes, she was even more shocked. The 7 puppets had the combat strength of a peak advanced Sage Realm expert, and any one of them was no weaker than a peak intermediate Sage Realm expert. She could not even contend with one of them, and the 7 puppets were equivalent to 7 peak intermediate Sage Realm experts. She did not expect that the purple-robed youth could easily push them back. Her cold and enchanting face was filled with shock, and she could not help but feel a little disappointed. If they had met in the past, she could have been closer to him. During this period of time, Lu Limo had set Du Xiaofu as her goal. After breaking through to the Sage Realm, she thought that she had caught up a little. But now, Lu Limo understood that not only did the distance between them not get closer, it was getting further and further. What powerful puppets! Even though Du Xiaofu had managed to push back the puppets, he was still shocked in his heart. His figure was pushed back a few steps in the air, and he only managed to stabilize his body after a stomp on the air. His hands were behind his back, and his palms were slightly numb. These puppets seemed to be completely refined from some kind of incomparably hard refining material, not living puppets. To refine puppets of this level, even with the heritage of the 9 great families, it would be difficult to find all the materials required to refine puppets of this level. The toughness of these 7 puppets shocked Du Xiaofu even more. Even though he did not hold back, he was still unable to deal much damage to them. The toughness of these puppets was extremely abnormal. Looking around, Du Xiaofu could tell that these 7 terrifying puppets were guarding this place. It was as though no one had ever set foot in this place before. Du Xiaofu was certain that these 7 terrifying puppets were guarding this place. To be able to guard this place with 7 puppets, it was enough to show how extraordinary this place was. The 7 puppets that were sent flying stood up again in an instant. The puppets' bodies were not damaged at all. The terrifying defensive power proved that the materials used to refine the weapons were stronger than what Du Xiaofu had imagined. The 7 puppets stood up once again. Light filled the sky as a blazing aura engulfed the entire space. They growled in a low voice, looking even more ferocious and murderous. Their empty eyes were filled with killing intent as they stared at Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes when he saw this. Each of these puppets possessed the fighting strength of an expert at the peak of the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm. Puppets weren't easy to deal with. 7 such puppets were much more difficult to deal with than 7 experts at the peak of the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm. Rumble! Rumble! Without any delay, the 7 puppets leaped away at the same time. Their speed was as fast as lightning. The 7 figures formed a mysterious circle, trapping Du Xiaofu and Lu Limo in the middle. Rumble! The 7 puppets glowed, and their aura seemed to be rising. Rock Emperor, what should we do? Lu Limo's face was solemn as she came to Du Xiaofu's side. She could feel that these terrifying puppets seemed to have other tricks up their sleeves, and they were far more complicated and mysterious than ordinary puppets. These aren't ordinary puppets. These puppets are very strange. Du Xiaofu looked at the 7 puppets around him. The eyes of these puppets were not empty like the eyes of ordinary puppets. Instead, they were filled with an extremely exuberant killing intent. It was as if they would not stop until they had killed all the intruders. It was Du Xiaofu's first time seeing puppets of this level. Even with his current cultivation, Du Xiaofu couldn't guarantee that he would be able to refine such a terrifying puppet even if he was given the materials for refining tools. Moreover, it wasn't something that could be refined in a short period of time. As Du Xiaofu observed, the 7 puppets seemed to be arranging something, and they even seemed to have a tacit understanding. Therefore, Du Xiaofu was even more astonished and didn't dare to act rashly. In the sacred palace, there are some insights left behind by the ancestors, and there are also some records of refining puppets. If my guess is correct, these puppets should be refined by an ancient expert. The body of a puppet is a dead object, but in the mind of these puppets, there is a special method to extract the primordial spirit of a person and then seal it in the mind of the puppet. Thus, the puppets created by this method have some intelligence, and these puppets are much more powerful than ordinary puppets. Lu Limo was also observing the 7 puppets around her, and her cold and pale face became more and more solemn. Could it be like this? Hearing this, Du Xiaofu's eyes moved, and he stared at the 7 puppets. This method of refining puppets seemed to be recorded at the end of the Heavenly Spirit record, but there wasn't a detailed introduction. Perhaps this method of refining puppets was added by his master, Saint Han's Soul Emperor. Just as Du Xiaofu and Lu Limo were observing, the blazing aura of the 7 puppets increased greatly, and the mysterious runes on their bodies shone brightly, and the scarlet light seemed to have solidified into flames. Rumble! Suddenly, the mysterious runes on the 7 puppets soared into the sky in an arc, and the runes on the 7 puppets connected, like a spider web in the air, and enveloped the entire space. The runes on the 7 puppets shone brightly, and the entire space seemed to be enveloped by a blazing sea of fire. Walala! Walala! The blazing runes connected with each other and enveloped the surrounding space. Du Xiaofu and Lu Limo were directly shrouded in it. Boom! The imposing auras of the 7 puppets suddenly rose from the peak of the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm to the level of the late stage of the Sage Realm in an instant. Their imposing auras were still somewhat inferior to the level of the late stage of the Sage Realm. However, the imposing auras of these 7 puppets weren't just a little bit stronger than before. In fact, they were very close to the level of the late stage of the Sage Realm. It's the puppet combined attack formation. Boom! Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. It seemed as if these 7 puppets had intelligence. In fact, they even knew how to launch a joint attack. The aura of these 7 puppets was comparable to that of the late stage of the Sage Realm. So, their strength was comparable to that of an ordinary expert of the late stage of the Sage Realm. We seem to be in big trouble. Lu Limo looked at Du Xiaofu with a dignified expression on her pale face. At this time, the 7 puppets were undoubtedly equivalent to 7 late Sage Realm experts. At this moment, the 7 puppets' combat power could be said to be unstoppable by the First Family, Ji Family, Yao Family, Feng Family, and any other large family, even if they sent out all their experts, unless the true experts of those large families who were in seclusion appeared. Be careful. All right. Du Xiaofu narrowed his eyes. From her aura, he had already seen that Lu Limo had also stepped into the Sage Realm, but it was still far from enough to face the puppets at this moment. As soon as his voice fell, a golden light flashed on Du Xiaofu's body, and the golden rock wings on his back made a sound of wind and thunder. The golden rock wings and cyan spirit armor were fully activated, and he did not dare to be careless. Chi La. At the same time, the 7 puppets that were faintly connected to each other, and the mysterious runes on the surface of their bodies fluctuated, triggering a majestic and terrifying energy. The space rumbled, and 2 puppets took the lead to rush out like lightning, connecting with the mysterious runes in the sky. Sharp claws brought along an unparalleled blazing wind, and violently clawed at Lu Limo and Du Xiaofu respectively. Looking at the terrifying puppets that rushed over, Lu Limo's beautiful eyes changed greatly. Her expression became dignified, and a vast amount of profound qi instantly erupted from her graceful and seductive body. At this moment, she had already used all her strength, but she knew that she could not resist at all. She just did not want to distract the people around her. Chapter 2395. Du Xiaofu's gaze was extremely serious as he watched the 2 puppets pouncing towards him. The rock wings on his back flapped as he advanced instead of retreating. His hands were wrapped in golden light as he shook his arms and punched out with his fists. Golden light burst out and cracks appeared in the surrounding space. His fists were like 2 dragons emerging from the sea as they struck out with lightning speed. Bang bang, bang. The fist and the claw collided like meteors. Under the frightening collision of energy, the entire space shook and shattered. A terrifying gale swept out and the 2 puppets and Du Xiaofu staggered back at the same time. So strong. Bang. Du Xiaofu flapped his wings and stabilized his body. He was surprised. After the puppets' aura skyrocketed, they indeed had the combat power of a late-stage Saint Realm expert. It was equivalent to having 1 foot in the late-stage Saint Realm. Lu Limo raised her eyes and frowned. She couldn't help it all and the other party still had to protect her. Rock Emperor, don't worry about me. You go first. Lu Limo said. She knew that with Du Xiaofu's means, it shouldn't be difficult for him to escape. Be careful, Lu Limo said. Du Xiaofu said and his figure suddenly appeared beside Lu Limo. Rock Emperor, you really don't have to worry about me. Go quickly. Lu Limo looked at Du Xiaofu and forced a bitter smile on her pale face. Bang, bang. Another puppet pounced on Du Xiaofu. Mysterious runes were faintly connected to each other in the air. The puppet's fist exploded, as though it had brought along a sea of fire, shrouding Du Xiaofu and Lu Limo. Tyrannical fists. Bang. In the blink of an eye, Du Xiaofu shook his arm. Amidst the faint cries of dragons and elephants, a fist print landed directly on the puppet's fist. A majestic golden light surged up like a howling gale. An incomparably overbearing aura gathered in the puppet's fist. The puppet's fist was shaken back at a speed visible to the naked eye. Fine cracks even appeared on the surface of the puppet's fist. It seemed that a monstrous force had collided with it in an instant. Boom! Another two puppets attacked from the left and right at the same time. One was a palm print that was like a fiery cloud that covered the sky, while the other was a claw print that tore through the void. Du Xiaofu lowered his gaze. The golden wings of the great rock was like a great rock flapping its wings, exuding a boundless tyrannical pressure. It was as though it wanted to soar into the skies, soaring through the skies. A supreme aura permeated the air, suppressing the heavens and earth. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's eyes shone with golden light, like two suns shining in the sky, overlooking the world. The azure spirit armor was pushed to the extreme. Rock chaos crushing claw. Star-shattering fist. A sharp claw stretched out from Du Xiaofu's right hand. It was like a real rock's claw that wanted to tear through the sky. Golden talisman patterns flickered, and a powerful and overbearing aura spread out from the sharp claw. As the claw swept out, the terrifying aura caused the space to rumble. The tyrannical energy fluctuation was like a vast ocean, like a golden rainbow across the sky. Then, amidst the surging runes, it directly tore through the fiery cloud that covered the sky. A punch that could shatter space appeared to be able to shatter stars. In an instant, it collided with the crimson puppet's claw imprint. A terrifying energy storm immediately swept out like a hurricane, causing the puppet to be directly forced back. Swoosh swoosh. Swoosh. However, at this moment, the remaining 5 puppets did not delay. The 5 puppets leaped out and pounced towards Du Xiaofu and Lu Limo at the same time. The wind and clouds surged in the sky, and the flames blazed. It was as though volcanoes were erupting at the same time. Rumble. Du Xiaofu instantly activated his lightning martial vein. Lightning flashed around his body, and a silver-gold lightning shot out from between his eyebrows. The redbone horse monkey vein soul and primordial spirit appeared at the same time. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled, and the mighty thunder might surged. Rumble. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body opened and closed. The redbone horse monkey primordial spirit vein soul and primordial spirit's body were filled with lightning. The sky was filled with golden light. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The great rock flapped its wings and soared through the 9 heavens, sweeping across the vast sky. The tyrannical and terrifying aura filled the sky, suppressing all living things. Lightning flashed and swept across the sky. The dazzling lightning talisman runes bloomed, and the aura was domineering and terrifying. The supreme beast of the golden-winged Great Rock clan could move the sky like a great rock. It contained the power to move mountains and seas. It could shake mountains and rivers, cause mountains to collapse and the earth to crack, and destroy everything. Du Xiaofu soared through the sky, bathed in golden light. He was the only one who reigned supreme, and suppressed everything in his path. Rumble! Rumble! The space rumbled and rushed to the heavens, causing the space to tremble. A series of dazzling runes burst forth. Amidst the earth-shattering sound, it was as though the entire square was about to be shattered. Lu Limo was shocked. How long had it been? The purple-robed youth's battle strength had actually broken through to such a terrifying level. Du Xiaofu unleashed his full strength. Numerous attacks swept out from his hands, each of which carried a frightening and shocking might. Lightning light covered the sky, and golden light shone brightly. The surrounding space directly cracked apart, and a monstrous aura surged out. There were a total of 7 puppets, and at this moment, they were clashing with each other. This was an astonishing battle. Rumble. Under such a terrifying collision, the ancient space trembled violently. The terrifying shockwaves tore the surrounding space apart, revealing a pitch-black light. In an instant they merged back together. The 7 puppets were connected with each other in a profound way. Perhaps, Du Xiaofu would have found it easier to deal with these 7 puppets if they were merely 7 puppets with the battle prowess of the late stage of Sage Realm. However, the strength of these 7 puppets had increased greatly. Moreover, they had formed a joint attack formation. So, their battle prowess had reached a new level once they joined hands. The more Du Xiaofu fought, the more shocked he became. At this moment, when the 7 puppets joined forces, they were definitely not much weaker than the Lei Yang back then. Dang dang. Although Du Xiaofu wasn't at a disadvantage in the terrifying energy storm in the sky and the energy storm of the broken talisman patterns, he was constantly pushed back. Fortunately, he had the immortal Xian body and the blue spirit armor, so he didn't suffer too much damage. Bang! Bang! In the sky, as Du Xiaofu was pushed back again, a blazing claw tore through the void and heavily grasped the golden rock wings on Du Xiaofu's back. As the claw clawed down, a deep sonic boom was heard. The claw fell on Du Xiaofu's body, and suddenly, purple-gold electric arcs lingered. Thunder exploded, leaving a mark on the golden rock wings, but it was not deep. Chi-la! With such a claw on his back, Du Xiaofu's body directly staggered forward. At the same time, purple-gold electric arcs exploded on Du Xiaofu's huge body, and a huge electric arc suddenly surged into the claw of the puppet, shaking it away. Under the joint attack of the 7 puppets, Du Xiaofu, who had used his Meridian Spirit primordial spirit body, was in an extremely difficult situation. He also had to protect Lu Limo. Fortunately, with the immortal Xian body and the green spirit armor, he was not in a big trouble. Under the terrifying defensive power, he was able to withstand it. If it was someone else, it was easy to imagine the outcome. So strong. Bang! Du Xiaofu's gaze became more serious. These 7 puppets were definitely equivalent to a Lei Yang at this moment. At this moment, he was surrounded, and he also had to protect Lu Limo. He was afraid that it would be difficult to resist. Buzz buzz. Buzz! As his body retreated, Du Xiaofu did not hesitate. The golden rock wings on his back flapped, and he flew up into the sky. He stretched his waist and hugged Lu Limo's soft waist, and directly broke through the sky to escape. These 7 puppets were too difficult to deal with. Woo! Woo-woo! The 7 puppets let out a woo-woo sound, and the 7 figures moved together. In the hands of each puppet, there was a blazing energy connected together, forming a huge encirclement that enveloped Du Xiaofu. It was like a blazing sea of fire, and Du Xiaofu was unable to escape. Du Xiaofu's golden rock wings flapped and directly cut through the space. However, at this moment, under the invisible binding force, it was difficult for him to break through the sky, and it was even more difficult for him to carry Lu Limo. Boom! Woo-woo! In an instant, a puppet in front of Du Xiaofu leaped out. Its eyes were ferocious, and it was filled with killing intent. The claw turned into a fist, and a fist was directly smashed out towards Du Xiaofu. Mysterious Yellow Emperor's Seal. Boom! Du Xiaofu did not have the time to consider. The mysterious Yellow Emperor's seal slammed out and collided with the puppet. The colorful and gorgeous handprint carried a glaring tail of light amidst the Sanskrit sound. In an instant, it collided with the terrifying puppet's fist. An earth-shaking muffled sound of energy immediately resounded over this ancient empty space. Bang! Boom! Runes burst out, and a dazzling light burst out. It was like 2 meteorites colliding, and terrifying energy ripples swept out like a vast ocean. In the middle of the collision, a huge black hole collapsed, and a tiger roared, and a sparrow and a turtle cried. An azure dragon, a white tiger, a phoenix, a black tortoise, and a black tortoise appeared, and the cold pressure caused the world to boil. This time, the puppet was directly blasted away, and even the puppet's joint attack formation seemed to be greatly affected. Chi-chi! At the same time, 2 more puppets tore through the void, and claw marks pierced through the void. The remaining 4 puppets besieged the Scarlet Horse Monkey's Yuan Spirit Meridian Soul. Domineering Tao. Boom! A terrifying aura spread out from his body, shaking the void so much that it was as if wind and thunder were rumbling. The aura surged and shook the void, and at the same time, Du Xiaofu raised his head and let out a loud roar that sounded like a dragon's roar and a divine elephant's cry. Boom! The sound wave swept out like a tsunami, surging and sweeping in all directions, causing the entire void to rumble. Countless loud roars echoed in the sky, and it was as if thunder from the 9 heavens had resounded in the world. The sound wave surged, accompanied by a golden rune energy ripple, like a vast ocean surging and spreading. This sound wave was not a simple sound wave, but contained a kind of martial way, causing the 7 puppets' joint attack array to boil. At the same time, Du Xiaofu flapped his wings, and lightning suddenly surged in his eyes. Astonishing energy swept out, and golden light swept across the 2 puppets that were pouncing towards him. With a flap of its wings, a large rock struck the sky. The surrounding space was directly shattered, revealing a pitch-black spatial crack. The entire sky trembled violently. A wave of frightening energy ripple instantly turned into a storm, taking the shape of a ring as it suddenly spread apart. Du Xiaofu's body was slightly pushed back, but at this moment, the 2 puppets were sent flying in a straight line, falling from the sky. It was as if their battle strength had suddenly become much weaker. At this moment, Du Xiaofu seemed to have discovered something and instantly revealed a trace of doubt. Under the sharp probing power of his Yuan spirit, he felt that the domineering aura from before had a huge effect on these puppets, causing them to become sluggish for a moment. Du Xiaofu was surprised, and his mind immediately began to think. The domineering aura contained the way of things, and the strongest attack power was the attack power of the Yuan spirit. Could it be? Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up. Could it be that these puppets were afraid of Yuan spirit attacks? Or at least would be affected by them? While Du Xiaofu was deep in thought, one of the puppets that had been forced back by him once again pounced towards him. The 2 puppets that had fallen in the air earlier, and whose fighting strength had been affected, also pounced towards him in an instant. The 3 puppets attacked together this time, outlining 3 blazing energy pillars that pierced through space like shock waves. They were like 3 scarlet lightning spears that rapidly shot towards Du Xiaofu. Oomph! Under the purple lightning in his eyes, Du Xiaofu's lightning pillars surged, and the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Suddenly, strange hand seals formed in his hands, and purple-gold lightning arcs overflowed. When the 3 scarlet energy pillars pierced through space and appeared, the ancient runes around him immediately rippled. At this moment, with Du Xiaofu as the center, an 8-trigram diagram suddenly appeared in the sky. Boom! Boom! In an instant, the sky trembled, and the 8 trigrams were connected to each other in the sky. It was like a bright divine ring that spread into the distance, and a boundless power instantly descended upon the ancient square. Sizzle! When the 8-trigram diagram appeared in the sky, the 3 blazing energy pillars were suddenly pushed aside. Roar! In an instant, the 8-trigram diagram in the sky was filled with the cries of thousands of beasts. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, mountains and lakes moved, wind and rain alternated, mountains and rivers appeared, and the sun, moon, and stars changed. There were also phantoms of the purple flame demonic phoenix, the grass of immortality, and the dark seeker grass. He was wrapped in a green spirit armor, and the rock wings on his back flapped, and golden light erupted. At this moment, Du Xiaofu stepped on the 8-trigram diagram, and light filled the sky, and purple-gold lightning wrapped around him. The 3 puppets that were close to him seemed to have felt something, and they tried to break free from the space-time prison. However, they were unable to do so, and the surrounding space collapsed inch by inch, but it recovered in an instant, and they were unable to break free. Du Xiaofu stood on the 8-trigram diagram in the sky, but he could only barely suppress a few of the puppets. The strength of these puppets was comparable to the later stage of the Saint Realm. At this moment, Lu Limo, who was in Du Xiaofu's arms, trembled. This was not the first time she felt such a vast aura, but it was even more frightening now. What a terrifying technique! Terrifying! Looking at all of this, Lu Limo, who was pale, was stunned. Under this terrifying power, she felt a sense of absolute fear, and the profound qi, primordial spirit, and martial veins in her body were all suppressed. Within the 8-trigram diagram, ancient talisman runes spread out, and finally enveloped the 4 puppets that were fighting with the Redbone Horse Monkey's primordial spirit. The 7 puppets were enveloped by the void 8 trigrams diagram and were greatly affected. The light on their bodies dimmed significantly, and the mysterious runes on their bodies were faintly connected to each other. At this moment, within Du Xiaofu's void 8 trigrams diagram, there were traces of cracks. Chila. Feeling this influence, how could Du Xiaofu miss it? From the body of the Redbone Horse Monkey's primordial spirit, a bright silver-gold lightning arc shot out, and it took the opportunity to rush into the glabella of one of the puppets. The silver-gold lightning arc rushed into the puppet's mind, and in the depths of the puppet's mind, there was a ball of bright red light, and a murderous aura filled it. Spiritual lightning was the nemesis of the soul. At this moment, the dazzling arc of lightning was the spiritual lightning on Du Xiaofu's soul body. It immediately dispersed the crimson light and a humanoid soul body was immediately revealed. Its eyes were blood red and blazing, appearing very ferocious. Its aura was extremely ferocious, as if it was completely condensed from a ferocious aura. Feeling the aura of the spiritual thunder, the ferocious primordial spirit was instinctively afraid, but it immediately pounced out fiercely, as if it was not afraid of death. However, this ferocious primordial spirit was ultimately suppressed. The spiritual thunder was its nemesis, and it was directly suppressed. In the void 8 trigrams, Du Xiaofu was surprised. The level of this primordial spirit was very strong, but it was extremely strange at this time, as if it did not have much intelligence. Everything in its body seemed to have been refined, and only a murderous aura was left. It was even a murderous aura. The refiner must have used some special means to refine it into a murderous aura. However, at this time, what shocked Du Xiaofu was not the refinement of this primordial spirit, but the defense in the puppet's mind. It was weaker than Du Xiaofu had originally imagined, and there was no defense at all. When he first used the domineering Tao and the power of the sound wave primordial spirit, Du Xiaofu discovered that the defense in the puppet's mind was very weak. As a terrifying puppet at such a level, its mind would usually be sealed by a powerful restriction in the puppet's mind. These seals were not easy to open, and if an outsider wanted to control the puppet, the seal would directly destroy the puppet. No matter who created this terrifying puppet, it was unlikely that anyone would be able to take it away from them so easily. Therefore, at the beginning, although Du Xiaofu wanted to control the puppet, he did not think too much about it. To control the puppet, first of all, it needed a primordial spirit that was stronger than the one who had set it up. The owner of these 7 puppets was definitely not an ordinary person. It was easier said than done to control them. However, in the mind of these terrifying puppets, there was no obstruction at all, and there were no seals at all. Therefore Du Xiaofu was surprised. The owner of these 7 puppets did not set up any seals, which was different for Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's spiritual thunder contained the silver net soul-devouring thunder and immediately swallowed this primordial spirit. Although this primordial spirit was extremely ferocious, its superfluous nature had been refined, and only its murderous nature was left. It was not difficult to swallow and refine it. Rumble! Rumble! At the same time, the scarlet demonic horse monkey's primordial spirit continued to attack. Silver-gold electric arcs surged out, leaving behind a silver-gold lightning stream, and directly entered the glabella of the 6 puppets that were bound in the void 8 trigrams diagram. Chi! These terrifying puppets were originally bound, but as the spiritual thunder entered the glabella, their bodies suddenly trembled, and their ferocious eyes became lifeless. Du Xiaofu had already tested them, and the primordial spirit within these puppets did not have much resistance. The spiritual thunder was their nemesis, and in addition to the suppression of the void 8 trigrams diagram, they were smoothly swallowing and refining. Du Xiaofu originally wanted to destroy these 7 puppets, but when he found that there were no seals in the minds of these puppets, he wanted to directly use the spiritual thunder to swallow the primordial spirit in their minds. He did not want to destroy these puppets. These puppets were refined using a special secret method, and there was also a terrifying combined attack formation. Its power was astonishing and direct. If he swallowed the primordial spirit within these puppets, and placed his own primordial spirit imprint on it, it would undoubtedly make these puppets his own. If he directly destroyed these puppets, Du Xiaofu knew that he did not understand the refining method of these puppets. Even if he took a step back and wanted to refine these terrifying puppets, he would need to directly kill 7 experts at the peak of the late stage of the Sage realm to refine them, and he would need the primordial spirits of 9 experts at the peak of the late stage of the Sage realm. At this moment, there was a ready-made puppet. The owner of these puppets did not place any seals in these puppets, as if these puppets were not too important in his heart. Du Xiaofu naturally would not be polite. If he could refine and control the primordial spirit within these puppets' minds, it would undoubtedly be equivalent to controlling these 7 puppets. As for the method to control these primordial spirits, Du Xiaofu was familiar with it, and it was not difficult. As for the method to control these puppets, Du Xiaofu reckoned that the method to control these puppets lay in these puppets' bodies if there was no accident. 7 spirit thunders entered the 7 puppets' minds, and the savage primordial spirits within the 7 puppets immediately pounced malevolently. However, as Du Xiaofu had guessed, these primordial spirits were unable to deal with the spirit thunders, and were suppressed in various ways. These puppets were indeed strong, but they needed the cooperation of these primordial spirits and the puppets' bodies. The key lay in these primordial spirits. With these primordial spirits in the minds of the puppets, one would be able to control and display the fighting strength of these puppets to the greatest extent. The savage and murderous primordial spirits blocked and resisted the spirit thunders, but they were suppressed under various kinds of suppression. Moreover, the spirit thunders had the special characteristics of the silver silk soul-swallowing thunder. Therefore, these primordial spirits were soon refined, and regained control over them. Then, Du Xiaofu began to set up his methods. In the depths of the primordial spirits of these puppets, he set up a soul imprint. He also set up a seal in their minds. Du Xiaofu did not want these puppets to be easily controlled by someone like him. After the 7 puppets were completely controlled by Du Xiaofu's spirit thunders, their bodies became sluggish, and their eyes began to show signs of submission. Qi! Qi! Now that everything was under control, Du Xiaofu's golden pring wings and azure spirit armor were retracted, and the 8 trigrams diagram in the sky also disappeared. The red horse monkey Yuan Xin and meridian spirit body also returned to the Naiwen palace in his mind. After putting Lu Limo down, Du Xiaofu landed on the ground and took a deep breath. The 7 terrifying puppets had already become docile, and they quietly stood by the side. Lu Limo's eyes were filled with shock, and she was unable to regain her senses for a long time. Following which, she stared blankly at the 7 puppets in front of her. At this moment, the 7 puppets were sluggish and docile. Lu Limo had seen Du Xiaofu's methods with her own eyes. It wasn't difficult for her to guess that Du Xiaofu was controlling the 7 puppets. Boom! Boom! Within the eyes of the 7 puppets, the sluggish gazes suddenly became ferocious and murderous, and the murderous aura became even stronger. At the same time, 7 vast auras surged from the 7 puppets. Their gazes were ferocious, but they did not move against Du Xiaofu. Instead, they revealed a look of submission. This was Du Xiaofu trying to control these puppets. He wanted to test it out, and he was pleasantly surprised to find that these puppets seemed to be much stronger than before. From now on, I'll call you the 7 holy puppets. All right. Du Xiaofu's eyes revealed a smile as he looked at the 7 puppets in front of him. As his voice faded, he waved his purple robe sleeve at the same time. The 7 puppets, which were incomparably terrifying and ferocious earlier, were immediately kept into the Qianquan bag in his hand. The process of controlling these 7 puppets was so smooth that it was far beyond Du Xiaofu's expectations. It was almost as if he had used a little method to easily place his soul imprint, as if they were refined by him. Du Xiaofu was definitely a puppet connoisseur. These 7 terrifying puppets didn't have any seals or restrictions placed on them. Generally speaking, only spirit talisman masters would refine some puppets that they didn't put in their eyes. Only when the refiner treated these puppets as a test product, they wouldn't pay too much attention to them. This was why this kind of situation would occur. Du Xiaofu could not help but sigh. If this was as he had guessed, then the expert who refined these 7 puppets only used them as test subjects. What level had their cultivation reached? Du Xiaofu knew that if these 7 terrifying puppets were placed in the outside world, even the great sects like the 9 great families would treat them like priceless treasures. Without the super experts from the eternal tomb from the 9 great families, no one would be able to contend against these puppets. But here, these 7 puppets did not pay much attention to them, and they did not even leave their soul imprints. But in any case, Du Xiaofu smiled at this time. With these 7 puppets, there was no doubt that he had 7 peak intermediate sage realm cultivators by his side. After joining forces, they were enough to fight against an ordinary late sage realm cultivator. He had some more backing by his side. With these 7 puppets, Du Xiaofu estimated that if Lei Yang came to provoke him again, these 7 puppets would be enough to make Lei Yang helpless. Rock Emperor, those 7 puppets, did you subdue them? Yes. Looking at the faint smile on Du Xiaofu's resolute face, Lu Limo's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. She stared at Du Xiaofu and asked. But when her voice fell, Lu Limo smiled bitterly. She felt that her question was a little unnecessary. The 7 puppets had been kept in Du Xiaofu's Qiankuan bag. It was obvious that they were under his control. Those 7 puppets were equivalent to 7 experts at the peak of the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm. In fact, they could even fight against an expert of the late stage of the Sage Realm if they joined forces. Moreover, these puppets possessed incredible defensive power and were extremely reckless. So, no one wanted to encounter them. Chapter 2396. Gulp. Lu Limo's heart trembled as she felt a burning sensation in her throat. After the 7 puppets fell into the purple-robed youth's hands, it was no doubt that the purple-robed youth had gained another 7 terrifying experts. If the 7 puppets were to be seen by any major forces, they would definitely be envious and heartbroken. Ming faintly revealed a bitter smile. Lu Limo sighed in her heart. It seemed that the 7 puppets that Ming faintly obtained in this burial wasteland were already a shocking harvest for this terrifying fella. At this moment, if anyone dared to provoke this abnormal fella in the burial wasteland, they could only blame themselves for their misfortune. Fortunately, we're fine. All right. Hearing Lu Limo's words, Du Xiaofu put away his thoughts and smiled at Lu Limo. Puff. All right. As Du Xiaofu finished speaking, Lu Limo's injuries were not light. Fresh blood flowed out from her mouth and her delicate body became weak. Your injuries are very serious. All right. A golden light flashed under Du Xiaofu's feet and he instantly appeared beside her delicate body. He helped her up and hugged her waist. With a soft jade in his arms, a faint fragrance assailed his nostrils. It was incomparably alluring. Your injuries are not light. All right. Lu Limo's delicate face squeezed out a bitter smile. With her strength, it was not easy for her to endure the continuous attacks of the puppets until now. Heal your injuries first. All right. Du Xiaofu looked at the simple palace in front of him. There were 7 terrifying puppets guarding the outside and there were likely many dangers inside. At this moment, Lu Limo's injuries were very serious and it was best not to go in first. Sweeping his gaze, Du Xiaofu helped Lu Limo to a clean plaza in front to heal her injuries. Being supported by him, Lu Limo's body secretly trembled. Her body stiffened and a slight blush crept up her pale face. It was not easy for them to reach this place. Heal your injuries first. I'll protect you. All right. Du Xiaofu whispered in Lu Limo's ear. All right. Only then did Lu Limo regain her senses. She didn't dare to raise her head as a blush crept up her cheeks. She was afraid that she would be seen through. After nodding her head, she immediately lowered her head and sat cross-legged. She formed a hand seal and began to meditate. Du Xiaofu didn't notice anything strange about Lu Limo. His purple robe shook slightly as he raised his head to look around, carefully observing the surroundings. This place was ancient and filled with vicissitudes. The square was surrounded by an endless mountain range. The interior of the ancient palace in front appeared calm. However, if one were to carefully observe, one would feel as though a monstrous, ferocious beast was hibernating. Du Xiaofu did not dare to be careless under such an aura. He did not know what dangers were hidden within, so it was better to be cautious. After observing for a while, Du Xiaofu turned around and looked at Lu Limo, who was meditating. Then he walked over to Lu Limo and placed a seal around her. He consumed a lot of spiritual energy and sat down cross-legged before he closed his eyes and started to meditate. He had consumed a lot of spiritual energy just now. Time slowly passed as the two of them breathed. Whoosh, whoosh. In the deathly silent land, there were many figures flitting across the vast void. An invisible and powerful aura leaked out and landed on a towering mountain. There were 3 people in the lead. 2 of them were extraordinary youths. The one in the lead had a face that seemed to be carefully carved. The curve of his lips was perfect, as though he was smiling all the time. That smile was dangerous and evil, causing the aura on his body to be very complicated. Beside this youth, there was another youth with black hair and black clothes. The space around him began to faintly distort. He had long eyebrows that were like willows. His eyebrows were distinct, and his eyes were like jet-black agates. His eyeballs were pure black, and he looked very handsome. There was also a figure with a hood that covered half of his face, revealing a pair of terrifying eyes. If Du Xiaofu was here, he would naturally recognize them immediately. They were Moksha, Jialo Jueju, and Emo Lingzi. Lord Emo Sha, we've already received news that the crack outside the ominous grounds is getting bigger and bigger. Perhaps, it won't be long before the Devil Emperors can re-enter. Should we wait for the Devil Emperors to arrive? After all, the Sky Burial Deathland is extraordinary. Lord Devil God also specially reminded us to be careful. An old man said respectfully. His robe fluttered in the wind, and his long hair was filled with black demon chi. His eyes emitted a frightening and strange cold light. His aura was stronger than the 5 demon envoys that Du Xiaofu had killed. It's good that something has happened in the fearsome ground. However, there's not much time left. We can't wait any longer. As soon as Moksha's voice fell, his figure flashed and appeared in front of them. In the quiet and ancient square, Lu Limo's injuries were too severe. Along with the breathing exercises, she had consumed quite a number of elixirs. After dozens of hours, her pale complexion finally recovered a trace of redness. However, it wouldn't be possible for her to recover from such a severe injury in a short period of time. Whoosh! Withdrawing her hand's seal, Lu Limo opened her eyes and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. This wasn't a place for her to truly recover, and there was no time to waste here. Opening her beautiful eyes, Lu Limo's gaze focused on the purple robe that was wrapped in golden light. Her gaze was a little entranced. How is it? Sigh. Sensing the fluctuation of aura, Du Xiaofu stopped his breathing and withdrew his hand's seal. The golden light on his body slowly retracted, and a golden light flashed in his eyes. His clear gaze fell on Lu Limo's body. Judging from her complexion, Lu Limo's injuries seemed to have recovered a little. However, they were still quite severe, and she wouldn't be able to recover in a short period of time. You can move now. This is not a place to stay for long. Yes. Lu Limo nodded. At this moment, they were in an unknown place, and there wasn't much time to heal. Looking at Du Xiaofu, everyone was in a hurry to find an opportunity. For this young man in front of her to be able to protect her for so long, she felt a little strange. Gazing at Du Xiaofu, she said softly, "I'm really sorry for wasting so much of your time and dragging you down." "Thank you." "You're welcome." "Thank you." Du Xiaofu smiled. He didn't think much of it, but he felt that this woman was a lot gentler compared to when they first met. Following which, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but think of Ouyang Shuang. Fortunately, that tomboy wasn't here. Otherwise, if she saw him and Lu Limo together, she couldn't help but touch her earlobe subconsciously. Then let's go and search around. This place isn't simple. Yes. Lu Limo nodded. She didn't notice Du Xiaofu's strange expression. Her beautiful eyes revealed a hint of a smile, and her expression once again returned to her cold and enchanting temperament. "I'm afraid we didn't find anything outside." Du Xiaofu said. He had already secretly searched around the square, but he didn't find anything. If there was anything, it should be inside the ancient palace. There should be something extraordinary inside the palace. Maybe there's even greater danger. Yes. Lu Limo looked at the huge palace with a solemn expression. The puppets outside the square were already so powerful, she was afraid that the ones inside would be even more terrifying. Du Xiaofu had already sized up the palace in front of them. The ancient palace was extremely huge, and its whole body was bronze in color. It stood tall and majestic, as if it had existed since ancient times. It was ancient, as if no one had set foot in it for countless years. Let's go in and take a look. Yes. Du Xiaofu said softly. They didn't find anything outside, and even if there was something, it should be inside the ancient palace. Since they were already here, even if there was danger, they couldn't miss it. We must be careful. Lu Limo hesitated for a moment, then she followed behind Du Xiaofu and walked towards the ancient palace. The ancient palace was huge, and the two of them didn't find anything dangerous when they arrived at the palace. There was only one door in this huge ancient palace. It was unknown what material it was made of, but there were many images of ferocious beasts engraved on it, and it was densely covered with mysterious runes. Du Xiaofu didn't let his guard down. Profound qi surged within his body, and he was vigilant of his surroundings. When they entered the palace, there was nothing inside. This made Du Xiaofu a little suspicious. Such a huge palace, with 7 puppets guarding it, how could it be empty? Be careful, there's something special about it. Lu Limo said softly. Lu Limo said softly. She looked around suspiciously and felt that something was amiss. The two of them carefully inspected the palace, but they didn't find anything. However, there was an ancient aura that was spreading throughout the palace, which made Du Xiaofu a little surprised. This aura seems to be a little strange. Du Xiaofu frowned. There seemed to be nothing inside, but this strange aura seemed to be extremely ancient. It seems to be an extraordinary illusion array. Yes. Just when Du Xiaofu was frowning, Lu Limo's voice sounded. She said to Du Xiaofu, "Rock Emperor, if I'm not wrong, I think we're trapped in an advanced illusion array." Yes. Another illusion array? Yes. Du Xiaofu frowned. Only now did he realize that the door through which the two of them had just entered had disappeared. They were once again trapped in the illusory array, but he didn't feel anything at all. This showed how powerful this illusory array was. The arrays in this burial deathland are all ancient arrays, and there are very few of them outside. It's very difficult to break them. Yes. Lu Limo's beautiful eyes were dignified. This illusion array was extremely advanced, and she admitted that she wouldn't be able to break it. Even the sacred palace didn't have many detailed descriptions of such ancient arrays. When Du Xiaofu heard this, his eyes became even more dignified. It wouldn't be good if they were trapped in here. Now, they could only think of a way out. After carefully searching the entire square for several hours, Du Xiaofu still couldn't find a way out. No matter what, he couldn't leave the palace. In the palace, mysterious runes flickered and changed unpredictably. It seems that we're really trapped here. Lu Limo revealed a faint bitter smile and said to Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu smiled faintly and didn't say anything. His gaze suddenly focused on a stone pillar in front of the palace. His gaze changed as he slowly walked over and carefully examined it. Then, Du Xiaofu looked at the second stone pillar not far away. His eyes slightly twitched and he took a deep breath. "Did you find anything?" Seeing this, Lu Limo asked. "If I'm not wrong, this illusion array should be the same as the 9-9 confusion array that we came in from. It's just that there are some changes." Du Xiaofu said softly. Hearing this, Lu Limo immediately revealed a joyful expression and asked, "Is there a way to break the array?" "I'll try, but be careful." Gesturing for Lu Li to be more careful, Du Xiaofu began to break the 9-revolution maze array according to the method he used to break the 9-revolution maze array. However, he was also quite nervous in his heart. He did not know if there would be any danger after breaking the 9-revolution maze array this time. However, the two of them didn't seem to have any other choice. They could only break the illusion array first. Hand seals condensed from Du Xiaofu's hands. Mysterious runes flickered as Du Xiaofu's feet moved unpredictably. Lu Limo followed closely behind. In just a moment, Du Xiaofu's figure shuttled back and forth. When he reached the side of the 99th stone pillar, Du Xiaofu took the last step. As Du Xiaofu's foot landed, the square suddenly shook with a loud bang. Boom! Boom! The entire palace shook. A majestic aura spread out, as if it was about to collapse. Be careful! Boom! Du Xiaofu lightly shouted. His profound qi surged and his whole body was on guard. Everything inside was extremely strange and he had to be on guard. Qi! At this moment, the entire square shook. Under the vigilant gazes of the two, everything around them disappeared in an instant. Then what appeared in front of them was a huge ancient stone chamber. Qi! Looking at the ancient stone chamber, Du Xiaofu's gaze trembled. His face was suddenly filled with shock. The stone chamber was surrounded by a bronze color. It was unknown how long it had existed, but it was filled with an ancient and desolate aura. In the center of the stone chamber, Du Xiaofu's gaze was focused on an extremely skinny body. It was unknown how long this body had existed. At this moment, it was all skin and bones. Its messy long hair was like a spider web. A loose gray robe covered its body like a long skirt, as if it was covered with spider webs. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was shocked by the aura of this skinny body. At the edge of this skinny body, there was a layer of invisible spatial ripples that constantly swayed. It made one's primordial spirit feel pain. One's entire body would feel a huge and majestic pressure. What a strong pressure! Qi! Du Xiaofu's gaze trembled. This pressure was so strong that it made one's primordial spirit tremble. One's profound qi and the primordial spirit in one's mind would definitely be affected. Du Xiaofu could clearly feel this aura. It was just a skeleton, but it had a pressure that was not much weaker than Huolei Laozu. The remains of an ancient almighty, Du Xiaofu exclaimed. The aura of this body was too strong. The skeleton in front of him should be the remains of an ancient almighty. At this moment, Lu Limo was also shocked. Her beautiful eyes were filled with surprise as she felt the majestic aura of this body. Chapter 2397. Boom! Boom! Just as Du Xiaofu and Lu Limo were sizing up the corpse in shock, the corpse in the stone chamber suddenly trembled. Following which, cracking sounds could be heard as the corpse began to squirm, as if it was alive. A wave of energy instantly surged out from the corpse, shaking the entire stone chamber. Lu Limo and Du Xiaofu's expressions changed greatly as they immediately became vigilant. Under their gazes, the energy around the corpse began to fluctuate. With a cracking sound, the resplendent talisman runes exploded, dazzling everyone's eyes. The body that was sitting cross-legged suddenly stood up, its upright body emitting a ferocious energy wave. To be able to enter the underground, you can be considered extraordinary. However, you still can't escape death. An ancient, hoarse, and indifferent voice gently resounded in the hall. The skinny body slowly raised its head, its disheveled hair trembling, revealing its empty eye sockets. However, at this moment, the gaze in the eye sockets was shining like the sun, making it difficult for people to look straight at it. Not good. Could it be that this ancient expert is still alive? Boom! Du Xiaofu was shocked. Could it be that this ancient expert was still alive? If it was, then it would be troublesome. The corpse stood in the stone chamber, its skinny body giving off an extremely strong sense of danger. The aura it emitted made Lu Limo, a Nirvana realm expert, tremble uncontrollably and her legs go soft. This is really troublesome. Boom! Du Xiaofu bitterly smiled. If he didn't deal with this ancient expert's corpse today, he probably wouldn't be able to escape smoothly. Feeling the energy wave from this ancient expert's corpse, Du Xiaofu also felt that it was purely a fool's dream to defeat this corpse. It's not a living being. This corpse should have already fallen, or its lifespan has already passed. This corpse should only have a trace of the primordial spirit left behind by the expert when he was alive, and it shouldn't have revived himself. Boom! Lu Limo bit her red lips as she didn't feel the terrifying aura. Although her cultivation wasn't as strong as Du Xiaofu's, her eyesight was naturally not ordinary. Du Xiaofu's gaze turned serious. Naturally, he could also see that. Even so, this primordial spirit left behind by an ancient expert wasn't easy to deal with. The strength of an ancient expert's remnant primordial spirit should be terrifying. Following Du Xiaofu's gaze, the energy wave from the corpse at this moment, the talisman runes and Limo, talisman runes were shining, as if they were absorbing energy. The aura became more and more terrifying. This corpse seems to be absorbing the energy between heaven and earth. Lu Limo's, as she had a bad feeling. Du Xiaofu frowned. He had already felt this earlier. The body of the ancient expert was no longer skinny, as if it had really revived. The energy wave from its body was getting stronger and stronger, and its aura was slowly becoming stronger. The corpse seemed to be absorbing the energy between heaven and earth to strengthen itself. The more energy it absorbed, the harder it would be to deal with it. Du Xiaofu estimated that if he allowed the corpse to absorb more energy, it would only increase its strength. At that time, it would be even more difficult to deal with. "Senior, I'm sorry." As soon as his voice fell, Du Xiaofu's body moved. Golden light shone under his feet, and around his body, a green spirit armor was immediately deployed. Under the wave-treading carefree steps, he turned into a blurry golden shadow and swept towards the ancient expert's body in the center of the hall. Boom! Boom! In an instant, a vast amount of Xian Qi burst out from Du Xiaofu's body. Golden talisman runes erupted, and the entire stone room roared. A palm print shot out. Ji! Ji! Above the golden palm print, there seemed to be a shadow of a golden winged rock, and it directly hit the emperor's body. Boom! Boom! As the palm print came crashing down, the blood-red eyes of the ancient almighty being trembled. The bones of the ancient almighty being seemed to be making cracking sounds. In an instant, the palm of the ancient almighty being summoned a wave of majestic energy. The ancient almighty being also sent a palm print directly toward Du Xiaofu. The speed of the ancient expert's body seemed slow, but in fact, it was extremely terrifying. As soon as the palm print hit, the space in front of the palm print was shattered. In an instant, it collided with Du Xiaofu's palm print. Bang bang! Boom! As the two palms collided, the space in the stone room was shattered inch by inch, and pitch-black spatial cracks appeared around them. Qi la! Qi! In the next moment, before Du Xiaofu could even react, the ancient expert's body directly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. The terrifying speed instantly made Du Xiaofu's heart sink. Not good. Without any time to hesitate, Du Xiaofu clenched his hand into a fist, and the Xian Qi in his body condensed on his arm. Then, a fist print suddenly blasted out with the roar of a dragon and the cry of an elephant. Ao! Ao! The fist print, which was close at hand, fiercely hit the body of the ancient expert's body with the roar of the stone room, and an incomparably overbearing power suddenly swept out. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu's eyes instantly changed. The body of the ancient expert's body seemed fragile, and it swayed as it walked. However, at this moment, it was even harder than the strongest refining material. An ordinary expert of the Sage Realm would not dare to take a full blow of Du Xiaofu's cultivation at the peak of the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm head-on. However, this level of fighting strength did not even shake the body of the ancient expert. Instead, it made his fist feel intense pain and numbness. Bang! Bang! At the same time, the eyes of the ancient expert's body flashed with blood red. Its palm shook and directly hit Du Xiaofu's body. Bang! Bang! The palm print smashed down, and Du Xiaofu could not avoid it. Without any turning back, a mouthful of golden blood suddenly spurted out from his body, and the azure spirit armor on his chest was directly shattered. His body was fiercely shot out dozens of feet away, and heavily smashed into the ground. Bang! Bang! The entire stone room shook, and the ground where Du Xiaofu's body landed cracked. Rock Emperor! Bang! Lu Limo's expression changed, and her beautiful figure flashed, and suddenly appeared beside Du Xiaofu. Pft! Bang! Du Xiaofu crawled up, and another mouthful of golden blood spurted out from his mouth. The sovereign blood did not dissipate, and his face instantly turned pale. The azure spirit armor on his chest seemed to have completely lost its ability to resist at this moment. Large patches of the feather armor were shattered, and blood was stained. Even the immortal Xian body could not resist such a huge force, and his internal organs were almost shattered. The blood in his body was surging violently. Too strong. Bang! Du Xiaofu was shocked. Fortunately, he had the immortal Xian body and azure spirit armor. Otherwise, just that palm would be enough to kill him. The strength of the ancient expert's body was too terrifying. Moreover, this was only the remnant primordial spirit of the ancient expert. Chapter 2398. Furthermore, this was only the strength of a remnant primordial spirit. If that primordial spirit were to awaken in person, how terrifying would its strength be? Du Xiaofu was shocked. He looked at the remains of the primordial spirit with vigilance. Lu Limo frowned. Her body was extremely solemn, but she was also shocked by Du Xiaofu's defense. She had seen with her own eyes how terrifying the attack of the primordial spirit's remains was. She did not expect Du Xiaofu to be able to withstand it. However, she was also very clear that with the strength of this abnormal young man, it would be difficult for him to withstand a second attack. After severely injuring Du Xiaofu with one palm, the primordial spirit's remains looked at Du Xiaofu. Its empty eyes flashed with a blood-red light. It took a step forward and was about to attack Du Xiaofu again. Not good. Du Xiaofu's face was extremely solemn. The strength of this primordial spirit's remains was too terrifying. He was afraid that he would not be able to withstand a second attack. Are we going to die here together? It's not bad to die together with him. Lu Limo smiled bitterly. She thought that she did not have any strength to resist. Just the pressure of the primordial spirit's remains was enough to suppress her. Since she was going to die anyway, it was not bad to die together with the young man in front of her. Chi! The primordial spirit's remains took a step forward and directly appeared in front of Du Xiaofu. The majestic pressure swept down and a claw mark tore through space, instantly arriving in front of the two of them. Golden rock wings, 8 trigrams profound. Du Xiaofu's countenance drastically changed. Subconsciously, he hurriedly activated the golden wings of the great rock. The wings stretched out in an instant, resembling a golden sphere of light, instantly enveloping the two of them. Golden light swirled around the golden wings of the great rock, surrounded by pitch-black halos. At the same time, the 8 trigrams void mysteries were activated, spreading out in all directions as ancient runes fluctuated. A claw print from the terrifying skeleton fell and crushed the void 8 trigrams. The huge shadow of the claw print completely tore the void 8 trigrams apart. Boom! The body of the skeleton was unstoppable. Once again it punched out. Bang! Under this punch, Du Xiaofu's golden rock wings cracked and his feathers shattered. His body was like a meteorite crashing into the stone chamber, directly destroying several huge stone pillars. Rumble! The stone pillar collapsed, and a muffled rumbling sound rang out. The entire stone chamber trembled, and the entire space shook as if it was about to collapse. Gee! The golden rock flapped its wings. Du Xiaofu hugged Lu Limo and struggled to get up. He was already in an extremely miserable state. The golden rock's wings were stabbed into the ground and were pushed back. Wherever it passed, the ground would crack, creating deep trenches in the hall. Poochie! Poochie! Du Xiaofu spat out a mouthful of golden blood mist from his mouth. Many parts of his body were shattered, and he was exhausted to the extreme. Intruder, die! Poochie! The body of the skeleton did not give Du Xiaofu any time to delay. Its body directly traversed through space and appeared in front of Du Xiaofu like a ghost. A bright energy beam shot out from its palm and immediately enveloped Du Xiaofu. The speed was so fast that it pierced through space, making it impossible for Du Xiaofu to dodge. Poochie! Poochie! The energy beam shattered the void and instantly hit Du Xiaofu's body. The terrifying energy carried an absolutely terrifying pressure and instantly fell on Du Xiaofu's body. Not good. At this moment, Du Xiaofu was horrified. This energy was too terrifying, and it was impossible for him to block it a second time. Under this energy attack, Du Xiaofu's divine soul felt that the primordial spirit in his Naiwen palace was trembling. It was completely suppressed by this terrifying pressure. This pressure was too strong, and even with the level of spiritual lightning in his body, it was difficult for him to resist. It even gave him the courage to resist. Let's go. Whether you live or die depends on you. At the last moment, Du Xiaofu said to Lu Limo. Using the space ultimacy that he had comprehended from the space-splitting three swords, he waved his hand and tore a spatial crack in front of him, throwing Lu Limo into it. Rock Emperor, don't, Lu Limo shouted loudly, but she could not help it. At the last moment before the spatial crack closed, she saw the tall and straight figure under the impact of the energy. His body directly collapsed and turned into a bloody mist that filled the sky. No, she cried out in grief. Tears gushed out from her beautiful eyes as the spatial crack closed. Rumble! Under the impact of the terrifying energy, Du Xiaofu's body was shattering. The thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body was condensing, but before it could cover his body, it exploded. His body was completely shattered. The red horse monkey's primordial spirit vein in his mind was also struck by the huge impact and directly shattered. However, the various types of spiritual thunder did not dissipate. They emitted a resplendent silver-gold light and were slowly condensing. Rumble! In the stone room, lightning suddenly flashed and thunder roared. Du Xiaofu's lightning martial vein also appeared in the bloody mist. Together with the spiritual lightning, it was vast and mighty in the stone room. At this place, when the immemorial Supreme Being's body saw Du Xiaofu's lightning martial vein and the spiritual lightning, its blood-red eyes instantly trembled. It took a few steps back and its towering body trembled. Its eyes were filled with doubt, absolute respect, and also great pressure. Rumble! Rumble! For some reason, the ground of the entire stone chamber began to tremble as though there was an earthquake. Rumbling sounds could be heard coming from underground. The body's eyes changed slightly. It then looked at Du Xiaofu, who was enveloped by lightning and thunder. The towering body suddenly knelt down on one knee and bowed respectfully to Du Xiaofu. Its blood-red eyes were filled with absolute respect and fear. Qi! Qi! Then, the body turned into a streamer and instantly disappeared from the stone room. The entire stone room was filled with lightning and thunder. Du Xiaofu's body turned into a bloody mist, but it did not dissipate. The purple gold heavenly palace, illusory saber formation, desolate ancient space, and a few other treasures on his body scattered to the side, each emitting a bright light. There were also many Qingquan bags scattered and floating in the stone room. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. That was the power of the spiritual thunder in Du Xiaofu's primordial spirit. Arcs of lightning condensed and then bombarded chaotically, landing on the purple gold heavenly palace, illusory saber formation, and the other Qingquan bags. Under the bombardment of the spiritual thunder, the purple gold heavenly palace, illusory saber formation, and other treasures were not affected much. They had Du Xiaofu's aura and complemented each other. The automatic bombardment of the spiritual thunder only caused some slight fluctuations. However, Du Xiaofu's Qingquan bags were different. They were constantly bombarded by the spiritual thunder. Although these Qingquan bags were sealed by Du Xiaofu, they could not withstand the continuous bombardment of the spiritual thunder. Moreover, when the spiritual thunder bombarded the Qingquan bags, it was as if it had landed on an external object. Then, as if the spiritual thunder was attracted by some kind of force, arcs of lightning converged into bright lightning bolts. Like electric pythons, they continuously landed on the Qingquan bags. Du Xiaofu's broken body was wriggling with blood mist. The perverse effect of the immortal Xian body was vividly displayed at this moment, causing the body to slowly recover. However, at this moment, Du Xiaofu had fainted. The recovery of Du Xiaofu's body was only subconscious of the immortal Xian body, so the speed was extremely slow. Rumble! Suddenly, a Qianquan bag was shattered by the spiritual thunder, revealing a large pile of holy weapons and magical weapons, as well as various elixirs, spiritual herbs, and other natural treasures. Multicolored light soared into the sky, and energy fluctuations filled the stone room. Rumble. In succession, the Qianquan bags were shattered one after another, and a large pile of treasures, natural treasures, elixirs, and elixirs all appeared in the stone room like a small mountain. These were all things that Du Xiaofu had plundered from the human race and the Beast Alliance along the way since entering the ancient desolate fearsome grounds. Not to mention the Scarlet Horse Monkey's primordial spirit bloodline talent along the way, the number of treasures that Du Xiaofu had obtained from Xiao Gu, Xiao Yao, and the others when he was in the Beast Alliance was a terrifying number. Moreover, who knew how many opportunities he had obtained along the way, but they were all collected by Du Xiaofu in the Qianquan bags. However, at this moment, the Qianquan bags were subconsciously shattered by the spiritual thunder, and the treasures inside were piled up like a small mountain. Multicolored light filled the sky, and energy surged violently. The talisman inscriptions were so bright that it was like a rising sun. At this moment, if any great sect or clan's patriarch saw this scene, they would be shocked and would fight for it at all costs. Du Xiaofu's harvest in the ancient desolate fearsome grounds was too shocking. This was more than just a treasure vault. It was probably difficult for any great clan in the world to have such a collection. Just the number of sacred elixirs alone was innumerable. There were also immemorial sacred weapons, and all kinds of natural treasures. Rumble. The appearance of such treasures filled the air with a terrifying energy fluctuation. At this moment, the spiritual thunder seemed to have sensed something and became even more violent. It was like an instinct, constantly bombarding the elixirs, sacred elixirs, spiritual elixirs, and all kinds of natural treasures, sacred weapons, and sacred weapons. Crackle, bolts of lightning fell, tearing the space apart and collapsing layers. Some elixirs and precious elixirs were blasted into pieces. Walala! The elixirs and precious elixirs overflowed with energy fluctuations, emitting a dazzling light and medicinal fragrance. Some of it was instinctively devoured by the spiritual thunder, and some of it was directly absorbed by Du Xiaofu's physical body, which was recovering and condensing. Immediately after, some sacred elixirs were blasted into pieces, and rich elixirs overflowed and floated in the void. Some of it was absorbed by the spiritual thunder, and some of it was absorbed by Du Xiaofu's physical body. Under the effect of the indestructible Shen body, it was directly integrated into his physical body. Little Yu wishes all the readers a happy spring festival, good health, and a prosperous year of the rooster. Chapter 2399. Translator. H2-2 Mr. At this moment, the number of treasured herbs, saintly herbs, and heavenly treasures within the stone chamber was innumerable. But at this moment, these treasured herbs, saintly herbs, spirit herbs, and heavenly treasures had all been blasted to smithereens. If anyone else were here, they would definitely be heartbroken, pounding their chests and stamping their feet. And if Du Xiaofu were to see this with his own eyes, he would probably be so heartbroken that he would just bang his head against the wall and commit suicide. This was simply a reckless waste of heavenly treasures. Unfortunately, Du Xiaofu had fainted at this moment and was completely unaware that all the spirit herbs, treasured herbs, and finally saintly herbs had all been blasted to smithereens amidst the rumbling thunder and lightning, turning into spiritual liquid. Part of it had fused into his physical body, while the other part had been absorbed by the spirit thunder. Boom! Another Qianquan pouch shattered soundlessly. This Qianquan pouch was very strange in that it had only shattered at this moment. And within it, half of a mysterious broken bone shone with a brilliant light. The half of the broken bone was completely ink-black in color and had traces of talisman script engraved on it, as if it had been naturally engraved on it. It was simple and ancient. When this half of the broken bone appeared, it seemed to have sensed something at this moment and was no longer dim and lightless. As if it had come to life, it began to emit a brilliant light. The ancient talisman script engraved on it began to ripple, completely unafraid of the spirit thunder's bombardment at this moment. When the dazzling spirit thunder bombarded this half of the broken bone, it was like a goose feather falling into the ocean. It did not even cause a ripple, disappearing without a trace. The mysterious half of the broken bone glowed and slowly approached Du Xiaofu amidst the flashing lightning and rolling thunder. As the blood mist under Du Xiaofu's immortal Xian body gradually took shape, the mysterious half of the broken bone approached Du Xiaofu's chest. Finally, it directly bloomed with bright black runes and fell on Du Xiaofu's chest, directly covering half of the secret bone on Du Xiaofu's body. The location was precisely where the half of the bone that Zixuan had forcibly pulled out of Du Xiaofu's body had merged with the half of the golden-winged Great Peng bone. It was so connected, as if there was an invisible connection between them. With the help of the indestructible Xian body, Du Xiaofu's physical body was completely formed and restored to perfect condition. Crackle, amidst the flashing lightning and rolling thunder, the large pile of elixirs, spirit herbs, good herbs, and sacred herbs were all shattered by the explosion of the spiritual thunder. Part of the spiritual liquid had merged with Du Xiaofu's physical body, part of it was swallowed by the spiritual thunder, and part of it was now flowing in the void of the stone room. Finally, it was imperceptibly pulled by the suction force on the surface of Du Xiaofu's body and tightly wrapped around the surface of Du Xiaofu's body. It was as if Du Xiaofu was wrapped in an energy cocoon. The light was dazzling, and the energy fluctuations were like a storm. Of course, there was also a large part of the spiritual liquid that was directly consumed and destroyed by the forceful explosion of the spiritual thunder. It turned into nothingness and dissipated in the world. This was a reckless waste of natural resources. If any of the patriarchs of the major families saw this scene, that so many sacred herbs and treasures were wasted by Du Xiaofu for no reason, they would probably have a heart attack and their blood pressure would skyrocket. In fact, if Du Xiaofu knew that he had wasted the sacred herbs like this, he probably wouldn't let himself go. He would definitely feel more heartache than anyone else. However, Du Xiaofu didn't know that at this moment, and it just so happened that this was the case. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. How many sacred herbs and treasures were there? How vast and majestic was the energy that they had turned into? If anyone dared to directly absorb them, it would be enough to explode 10 times over. If he was in a conscious state, Du Xiaofu definitely wouldn't have dared to do this. Just the sacred herbs alone were already a terrifying number. However, when Du Xiaofu was unconscious, the primordial spirit's spiritual thunder automatically swallowed a part of it and wasted a part. Only with the addition of the indestructible Xian body and the physical body of the true Peng realm could he barely be fine. Otherwise, when he was unconscious, his body would have exploded and he would have died. Boom! When Du Xiaofu's physical body was formed, his body was wrapped in energy like a cocoon. At the same time, from within his body, there was a dazzling pitch-black talisman rune that surged out. It passed through the energy cocoon and filled the entire stone room. There were also golden talisman runes that soared into the sky and densely covered the stone room. They were dazzling and had an incomparably domineering aura. In a daze, Du Xiaofu didn't know where he was. It was vast, like the bottom of the sea. It was boundless, and there was the sound of wind and thunder, like muffled thunder resounding. Later, various phantoms appeared in the empty space. They were all ancient demonic beasts, roaring and baring their fangs and claws, as if they wanted to tear the sky apart. In a daze, like a dream, Du Xiaofu felt that there were more and more ancient demonic beasts. Figures appeared one after another, and there were even many ancient demonic beasts that were so powerful that they made the world tremble. Unfortunately, these powerful demonic beasts seemed to be dead. It was as if they were killed by some kind of powerful demonic beast. Only a trace of obsession remained in the world. Then, Du Xiaofu seemed to have entered a huge maze. There were even more ferocious beasts trapped there. It was hair-raising, and they were constantly roaring. These terrifying primordial ferocious beasts seemed to have been killed by the same powerful demonic beast. Ku, a 9-headed bird roared, its wings spread for an unknown distance. Its body was dazzling, and its aura was terrifying. It was so terrifying that it made people tremble. Roar, a flood dragon with 3 ferocious heads roared, and a ferocious bird covered the sky and swooped down. Roar, a gigantic ferocious beast that was as big as the sky was surrounded by lightning. It stomped on an ancient mountain with one foot. It was terrifying, as if it was going to strike the sky. In a daze, Du Xiaofu was also shocked. These were just illusions, but they were like living creatures. Even their auras were incomparably real, as if they had traveled through time and space. Du Xiaofu was very strange. He didn't know what era this was, but there were actually so many experts. Was this the ancient era? It was actually so terrifying. Time seemed to have lost its meaning here. Du Xiaofu had been here all along, feeling all kinds of powerful ancient beasts. All kinds of ferocious birds and beasts roared and howled, full of unwillingness, but in the end, they gradually disappeared into the void. Finally, Du Xiaofu felt as if he had come to a sealed space. There were black talisman patterns rising, filled with a terrifying pressure that could crush everything, but also carried a kind of divine pressure. It was brilliant and dazzling. Although it was as black as ink, it also made people feel incomparably dazzling. Arriving here in a daze, Du Xiaofu felt as though the terrifying pressure was about to tear him apart. It was as though his body was about to be torn apart. Those black talisman patterns were too terrifying. Black light filled the air, and the talisman patterns were blazing and dazzling. It was so powerful that it made the heaven and earth tremble. It was incomparably terrifying. This is a kind of supreme beast energy talisman pattern. Although Du Xiaofu was in a daze, he subconsciously knew that this was a kind of supreme beast energy talisman pattern. It was a terrifying existence that was even stronger than those ancient beasts. Walala, the black talisman patterns soared into the sky, and the 4 types of void clanged like metal. In the end, they condensed together and turned into a big black fish. This big fish was too terrifying. It was a supreme beast. When it condensed, it looked down on the gods and suppressed the ancient era. It was incomparably majestic, and even the gods were not put in its eyes. This is a supreme beast energy. Du Xiaofu was sure that this was a supreme beast energy. It was hidden in this place and flashed in front of him. This big black fish seemed to have a great connection with the widower saint's inheritance that the Feiyu previously hid in front of him. However, it was far more profound and powerful. This big black fish was a true supreme beast from the ancient era. The black talisman patterns rushed out as if they were alive. They formed and arranged themselves, and they emitted the sound of wind and thunder. Clanging sounds rang out as they emitted black light. In the end, they took shape in the void and condensed into a huge black fish. This big black fish was suffused with the aura of a supreme being. Its 2 eyes were like 2 suns that looked down on all existences and suppressed the ancient era. It was incomparably majestic. Rumble, this big black fish was too terrifying. It was as if it was on the same level as a true dragon or a true phoenix. When it spread its wings, it was as if it could cover the void and cover the clouds in the sky. Du Xiaofu was astonished. This big fish seemed to have an invisible connection with the golden-winged Peng race. Rumble, the talisman patterns shuttled back and forth in the void. It was as if the big fish was bobbing up and down in the boundless sea. It was astonishing to the extreme. Du Xiaofu immediately began to carefully comprehend. This was a true supreme beast energy. Just like that, he quietly comprehended. It was as if he had entered an ethereal state. Du Xiaofu was comprehending the various transformations of the big black fish. Just like that, time slowly passed. Du Xiaofu entered a certain state. It was as if he had appeared in a boundless sea. Countless black talisman patterns danced in the air and turned into a big fish. It stirred up monstrous waves in the sea. It rose and fell, shuttled back and forth like a prung striking the sky. This was the manifestation of a supreme beast energy. Rumble, above the sea, heavenly sounds resounded like thunder. An ancient aura appeared as if it contained many profundities. It emitted the sound of wind and thunder. This kind of scene was very frightening and shocking. A gigantic black fish soared into the sky in the boundless ocean, as if it wanted to fly away. Those astonishing eyes seemed to contain the passage of countless years. In the blink of an eye, the world had changed, the sun and the moon had sunk. In the stone room, the energy cocoon was filled with black talisman patterns. With the energy cocoon as the center, there were resplendent black talisman patterns that were changing. It was as if they were evolving and turning into a huge black vortex. Crash, within the black vortex, the sound of waves could be heard. There was also the sound of wind and thunder. Finally, it shuttled back and forth above the energy cocoon. Faintly, behind the energy cocoon, the shadow of a huge black fish appeared. The black light was dazzling. The talisman patterns intertwined and emitted a black light. It was evolving and changing. Gradually, it emitted a supreme aura. It was as if it wanted to rush into the depths of the sea and disappear into the boundless sea. The black talisman patterns continued to appear from the void and connected with Du Xiaofu's energy cocoon. They emitted a resplendent black light. The scene was astonishing. Not only that, but at this moment, there was a monstrous golden light within the energy cocoon. Similarly, above the energy cocoon, there was a golden peng that was spreading its wings and soaring into the sky. When such a huge black fish and a golden peng appeared together, the stone room seemed to rumble. The sound of Dao was endless. Wind and thunder resounded. There were also flashes of lightning and thunder. Everything seemed to be splitting the sky and earth apart. It contained many profound mysteries. Why is it so painful? When Du Xiaofu completely regained consciousness in his days, he felt an excruciating pain in his chest. It came from the position of his heart. This excruciating pain was connected to his heart. It was as if his bones had been dug out. The pain was so excruciating that it was indescribable. Du Xiaofu faintly felt that at the position of his heart, it was like when he was in the barbaric mountains. A section of his sternum was forcibly torn apart and then a section of bone was forcibly squeezed in. The two were originally incompatible, like fire and water. However, they were forcibly integrated. In this kind of forceful integration, there seemed to be some kind of connection. Amidst the excruciating pain, the half of the broken bone that was forcibly squeezed in his chest was like a dazzling black ball of light. Dense black blood seeped out of it. This black blood seeped out of the broken bone and flowed directly into Du Xiaofu's heart, blood vessels, meridians, skin, flesh, muscles, and bones. It was also connected to all the bones in his body. The black blood seeped out of this half of the broken bone. It was trying to gradually evaporate the golden blood in Du Xiaofu's body. This blood was also very domineering and vigorous. However, this was impossible. The blood in Du Xiaofu's body was like the true blood of the golden peng. It was fierce and domineering. It could not be invaded by the black blood, nor could it merge with the black blood. Instantly, the two types of blood pulled at Du Xiaofu's heart, blood vessels, meridians, skin, flesh, and bones. Du Xiaofu's heart, blood vessels, meridians, skin, flesh, and bones could not withstand the domineering power of the two types of blood. It was as if his body was about to be destroyed by the two types of blood. This excruciating pain made Du Xiaofu, who had just regained consciousness, unable to scream. However, he could still feel the most excruciating pain in the world. Crack, crack. Finally, Du Xiaofu's body was torn apart, as if it was about to explode. However, at this moment, the surrounding energy cocoon tightly wrapped around Du Xiaofu's body. As it cracked, the vast energy and spiritual liquid seeped in, tightly covering Du Xiaofu's internal organs, meridians, bones, and muscles. Du Xiaofu's body was originally filled with vast and mighty energy. At this moment, the surge of energy was no different from a third wave of vast and mighty energy rushing in. It brought about another type of intense pain, causing Du Xiaofu's internal organs, meridians, bones, and muscles to feel as if they were about to be crushed to pieces. In addition to the pain brought about by the two types of domineering blood, Du Xiaofu felt as if he had fallen into the 18th level of hell. However, this energy could not trap the black blood and the golden peng blood, causing Du Xiaofu's body to continue cracking. Crackle! Crackle! At this moment, mysterious lightning arcs began to bloom within Du Xiaofu's body. Streaks of bright purple lightning arcs jumped out. The purple lightning arcs were connected to his meridians and blood vessels. In the end, they directly intertwined and condensed together. A terrifying power spread out and turned into a light net, directly covering the broken bones and the cracked body that was about to explode. Boom! The aura of the lightning net was vast and mighty, and the aura of punishment spread out. It did not have any killing intent, but it showed the majesty of creation and the righteousness of heaven and earth. It was as if it could be vast and mighty, and punish all living things. Suddenly, the two types of blood gradually calmed down under the cover of the light net. Although they tried to struggle, they were still tightly trapped, as if they had suffered the most terrifying suppression. Coo coo! Coo! Mysterious golden talisman runes continuously surged out, and finally turned into a golden pring that flapped its wings and soared into the sky. Mysterious black talisman runes rushed out and turned into a huge black fish that was bobbing up and down. The two types of supreme beast energy directly and fiercely attacked the purple lightning net, trying to break through the light net. However, the illusory figures of the golden pang and the huge black fish were still suppressed. This was because the thunder martial vein in Du Xiaofu's body was operating, protecting Du Xiaofu's body. However, this also prevented Du Xiaofu's body from continuing to crack and was forcibly wrapped together. However, the pain was too severe, and Du Xiaofu could not resist it anymore. This kind of severe pain was not something that a human being could endure, let alone multiple kinds of pain. Du Xiaofu had just regained a trace of consciousness, but in the next moment his consciousness became blurry again. This time, although his consciousness was blurry, Du Xiaofu could faintly feel that in the end, the black blood and the golden blood did not seem to want to destroy his body. Gradually, they began to merge together, and a vast amount of energy came out of nowhere and continuously entered his body. The black blood from the half-broken bone gradually began to seep into his body and merge with the golden blood. However, this fusion was not a real fusion, but more like a compromise. However, no matter how domineering and fierce the blood of the golden pang and the black blood were, there was always a last trace of blood in Du Xiaofu's body that could not be completely destroyed and evaporated. However, that trace of blood was so weak that it was gradually covered by the flow of the golden and black blood. It was difficult to detect with the naked eye, and even Du Xiaofu himself could not detect it at this moment. Time slowly passed like this. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's chest was no longer just a half-broken bone, but two. One was the mysterious bone of the golden ping that had already completely merged with it, and there was an endless amount of golden blood flowing out. It had already turned all the blood in Du Xiaofu's body into a faint golden color, covering his tendons, bones, muscles, and internal organs. It flowed through his blood vessels and meridians, nourishing all the bones in his body. It made Du Xiaofu seem to have transformed into a real golden peng, and now, the black blood flowing out of the second broken bone also contained a terrifying power, as if it was not inferior to that of the golden peng. Mysterious runes on the mysterious black broken bone flickered and gushed out, and there were energy waves. In a daze, Du Xiaofu seemed to have a strange dream. In that strange dream, Du Xiaofu saw an incredible scene. In the boundless ocean, a big black fish was bobbing up and down. In its terrifying eyes, endless years were flowing away. In a glance, the sea had turned into mulberry fields, and 100 generations had gone up and down. After that, Du Xiaofu saw a vast stretch of astral rivers. Constellations fell from the sky, causing the sky to tremble. A terrifying golden-winged rock traversed the astral rivers, flapping its wings as it soared into the 9 heavens, shattering the constellations one by one. Sometimes, it would hover above the astral rivers, emitting cries that shook the astral rivers. Du Xiaofu felt that he had transformed into a big black fish one moment, and then a real peng the next. This strange dream seemed to have lasted for a long time. When he regained some consciousness, his head was dizzy, as if it was about to be torn apart. The sharp pain in his body did not disappear, and his whole body felt like it was falling apart. This is the Kuan's cultivation method. Kuan. In a daze, Du Xiaofu felt an amazing feeling. From the mysterious patterns of the pitch-black talisman, he knew that the big black fish was the Kuan. There was a fish in the north, and its name was the Kuan. The Kuan was so big that it was unknown how many thousands of miles long it was. When the clouds open and the wind and rain stop, the Kuan's wings strike the waves from the beginning. When it comes out of the water, it is the Peng, and when it enters the water, it is the Kuan. Du Xiaofu was shocked. This was a primordial supreme divine beast, and it was definitely not inferior to the golden Peng. It was rumored that the Kuan and the golden Peng had a huge relationship. And now, Du Xiaofu knew that he had obtained the Kuan's cultivation method and the supreme profound meaning. Opportunity, this is a huge opportunity. After the shock, Du Xiaofu was ecstatic. Oh no, it's going to explode. Where did this huge energy come from? In a daze, Du Xiaofu was also shocked. At this moment, his body, which was in great pain, was filled with a terrifying energy to the point where it could not be suppressed. Du Xiaofu did not know what was going on. How could there be such a surge of energy in his body? This kind of energy was surging in his acupoints and meridians. There was no place for it to go, and there was more and more of it, as if his body was going to explode. Sensing the changes in his body, the terrifying energy that was continuously gushing out, in addition to the mysterious black bone that had appeared in his body, it was as if there was a blazing golden black sun within his body. As a large amount of energy continued to gush out, his internal organs and meridians were about to explode. Without any hesitation, Du Xiaofu operated the Golden Peng's cultivation method and began to refine all the energy in his body. In his mind, Du Xiaofu was comprehending the supreme beast ability of the Kuan. Time passed slowly again. After an unknown period of time, Du Xiaofu's body was wrapped in circles of golden light, which shone brightly in the stone room. A domineering and ferocious aura spread out. There were also mysterious black talisman patterns surging, which turned into a huge black fish in the stone room. Screech! As the mysterious golden talisman patterns lined up in the stone room, they condensed into the shadow of a golden Peng. The terrifying power also reached the extreme. Such a huge black Kuan and the shadow of the golden Peng seemed to be injected with life. They wanted to spread their wings and soar into the sky, as if they were experts who could suppress heaven and earth. They were domineering and ferocious to an unparalleled extent. Chapter 2400. Black and golden blood flowed in his body. Du Xiaofu felt a strange sensation as if his body was being refined. His organs, bones, muscles, and everything else were transforming and strengthening. Du Xiaofu was immersed in this strange state. Only the golden and black light enveloped his body. His aura was also soaring. The golden-winged rock behind him was changing unpredictably. One moment, it wanted to flap its wings and soar into the sky. The next moment, it looked like it was looking down on all living beings. Then, it turned into talisman runes and rearranged itself. The black fish was also bobbing up and down. It contained the mysteries of the heavens and was incomparably complicated. Whoosh! Whoosh! Inside the stone room, there was a faint rumbling sound. A terrifying aura swept out. It was extremely shocking. If there was an expert who could see everything in this stone room, he would definitely be shocked. Separated by the energy cocoon, Du Xiaofu's body was covered with many golden and black talisman runes. They were intertwined with each other and shone with the brightest light. Gradually, Du Xiaofu entered a strange state again. It was as if he was isolated from the world in this stone room. Inside the stone room, the spirit thunder had calmed down for some reason. Only the energy cocoon was changing unpredictably. Inside the energy cocoon, Du Xiaofu's mind was wandering in the void, soaring between heaven and earth. He was floating up and down in the ancient past, waiting for the day when he would break out of the cocoon and become a butterfly. Inside the sky burial wasteland, all the experts entered. The competition became more and more intense. The Beast Alliance, the human race, and the experts from the outside world began to fight and clash. They were all here for the treasure. The battle was fierce. There were fights everywhere. Blood splattered everywhere. All the major forces were in a frenzy. Even the ancestors of the major forces, be it the human race or the Beast Alliance, had put down their pride and entered the puppet sky burial wasteland to fight for the treasure. There were constant battles. Don't let the Feng family get the secret bone. A demon beast shouted. The experts of the Feng family took action to fight for the secret bone. The secret bone was resplendent and definitely came from the ancient times. It was extraordinary. However, the Feng family had experts who were incomparably powerful. Their light was dazzling and shook the world. Who would dare to fight against them? Kill! There was a handsome young man with lightning flashing on his body. He was Du Tingxian. He had activated his thunder martial vein and sent a group of experts flying. He had snatched a piece of mystic bone. Kill! Not far away, there were beast race and human race experts who were also fighting with their lives on the line. Some experts were fighting against a group of experts. A few huge ferocious beasts were roaring and flapping their wings in the void. Finally, they managed to snatch some benefits. Who dares to stop me? Du Xiaojing's beautiful figure appeared. The treasured sword in her hands swept horizontally. Purple and gold lightning shone resplendently and contained great power. It was as if she was harvesting wheat, and none of the heroes dared to block her. Inside the sky burial deathland, blood flowed like rivers. Many secret zones and cavern dwellings appeared. Experts from various races fought for supremacy, fighting for benefits. Even the Saint Realm experts had bloodshot eyes. Everyone knew that these were the benefits of heaven burial deathly earth, the implications extremely great. All of the benefits came from the archaic era, so if one could obtain them and comprehend them thoroughly, they could quickly rise up, becoming an absolute expert of the present world. Inside the sky burial deathly earth, there were experts fighting and killing everywhere. There were cries and shouts of killing everywhere. It was completely boiling, and it was extremely tragic. Many precious treasures had also appeared. In the end of such a great battle, even Du Tingxian, Du Xiaojing, and some old ancestor-level experts from the Beast Alliance and the human race had suffered heavy injuries. Of course, in such a chaotic battle, there were people who were happy and people who were worried. Some people fought until their heads bled, but they didn't necessarily gain anything. Some people were lucky enough to obtain precious treasures easily. Such a battle continued, and the entire sky burial deathly earth was in a state of chaos. No one knew how many experts had died. There were killings everywhere, and corpses were everywhere. Soon. There's news that the Demon King will be able to enter soon. On a cliff, Moksha, Jialo Juelyao, Mo Lingzi, and the others were there. Their expressions were slightly serious. I didn't expect that there would be experts among the humans and beasts in this deathly earth. The corner of Moksha's mouth was pale. His injuries weren't light. He had also participated in a few battles and obtained some gains. However, he was also heavily injured by an old ancestor of the human race in this deathly earth. He only managed to escape by throwing out precious treasures. When the Demon Kings enter, they will sweep through everything here. An old man spoke, exuding a terrifying aura. We've received news that there's an unforeseen event in this deathly earth. The restriction on the crack is dissipating. Those experts who had entered this deathly earth before can enter again. On the peak of the mountain, a group of monks was fluctuating with Buddhist light. They were Ninefold Ling, Henglun, and the others. This isn't good for us. If the restriction on the crack disappears, those experts will be able to enter. At that time, it will only become more chaotic. An old monk's eyes were solemn. They had also obtained some benefits, but at this moment, their expressions were solemn. They didn't dare to act rashly. They knew that the most tragic battle had yet to come. If the restriction on the crack really disappears, many experts, including the demon kings of the devil religion, would enter. At that time, this deathly earth would be even more chaotic. The news was spreading everywhere. Some people were very happy. Long Qianchao, Yu Su, Shiyu, Shihongtu, Su Sanyan, and Hui Wu of the famous clan were all very happy at this moment. If the old ancestor can enter, then Du Xiaofu is dead for sure. Those experts of the Beast Alliance and the human race won't be able to dominate this place anymore. Long Qianchao said, his dragon eyes glowing. They could do whatever they wanted in the outside world, but in this deathly grounds, they could only hide. With their cultivation and strength, they were nothing in this deathly grounds. They even heard that Du Xiaofu, Violet Dragon Emperor, Du Xiaoyao, and Du Dingshuan's strength had skyrocketed. They had to hide from Du Tingxian and the others, afraid that they would fall into their hands. The news that the experts of the outside world could enter this deathly grounds caused an uproar. There's a crack in the sky. There's another world outside our world. The Rock Emperor is from that world. In this deathly grounds, there were also creatures of the human race and the beast race who received the news. This completely caused an uproar in this deathly grounds. Many creatures now knew that there was another world outside. If those experts from the outside world can enter again, they will first obtain all the treasures in this deathly grounds. In the deathly grounds, some experts were no longer calm. They began to plunder, search for caves, and explore secret realms. Rumble! Above a secret realm that was being explored, a huge golden hand wrapped in talisman runes fell from the sky, tearing the void apart and violently grabbing towards it. "This is mine!" An angry shout was heard. A fist shot up into the sky like a flying dragon. The fist was like a meteorite wrapped in purple chi, colliding with the huge golden hand. "Leave the treasures behind." Another super expert came, spreading his wings and covering the 9 heavens. His resplendent wings seemed to have come from the 9 heavens, tearing the void apart and shattering the dome of the sky. The influence of the deathly grounds was too great. The super experts of the major powers couldn't sit still and entered this deathly grounds to fight for the treasures. "Why are you so stupid? I would rather die than you. You clearly had a chance to escape." In this vast land, a beautiful woman's cold and enchanting face was covered in tears. Sadness climbed up her cheeks, her eyes were filled with grief. She recalled the tall and straight young man in her mind. How could he be a lecher? He was purposely hiding his true self. He was so pure and cute. "If I could turn back time, I would tell you that I like you, I love you. I would choose to die together with you," the beautiful woman murmured. She was thinking that if she could turn back time, she wouldn't hesitate, disregarding everything, letting go of everything. Even if he didn't agree, she would tell him that he was in her heart. Only now did she truly feel that unknowingly, he actually occupied such an important position in her heart. Even if he didn't like her, with so many supreme beauties around him, at the very least, she would be able to die together with him. At the very least, she wouldn't be living alone now. The outside world was too chaotic. But all of this had nothing to do with Du Xiaofu. Regardless of the situation in the outside world, Du Xiaofu was like an immovable mountain in that mysterious stone room, comprehending everything. He basically had no idea what was happening. On the energy cocoon, the black talisman inscriptions had become even more dazzling at an unknown time. It was accompanied by traces of pitch-black halos. The resplendent pitch-black light spread out, and then it was constantly changing and being derived. At this moment, the energy cocoon Hassan was also trembling violently with a majestic aura. The aura spread out, and the bright light of the talisman's secret patterns on the deep dark halo constantly spread out from it. It was like a black demonic sun. The vast aura that pervaded it was as unfathomable as the sea. In front of such an aura, if there was any expert present at this time, their divine soul would tremble. They would feel like an ant in front of an elephant. In this strange state, Du Xiaofu gradually felt that he had completely turned into a big black fish, appearing in a vast and boundless ocean. This ocean seemed to be completely condensed by energy. Its aura made one's heart palpitate. There were no waves, but it was not difficult to feel. The energy contained in this calm ocean was terrifying. Du Xiaofu was like a big black fish bobbing up and down in the ocean, carefully observing it. In the end, he was horrified. There seemed to be countless energies in this energy ocean. There was the power of the spirit, and there was also a vague, strange but palpitating natural energy that made his soul tremble. Feeling such a terrifying aura, Du Xiaofu felt that he was extremely small. So this is what a true expert is like. Du Xiaofu's mind was fluctuating. He was deeply shocked. At this moment, with the energy cocoon around Du Xiaofu as the center, the space in the stone room was also fluctuating. Asterisk chi. Asterisk chi. Asterisk around the energy cocoon, a huge vortex had unknowingly formed. At a terrifying speed, it shrouded the surrounding void. That terrifying energy suddenly erupted. Arg. Du Xiaofu could feel that there was a terrifying energy both inside and outside of his physical body. It was as though a huge vortex had formed around his physical body. The huge vortex was filled with boundless and terrifying energy. Under the tremendous power, Du Xiaofu's face immediately twisted from the intense pain. There was a tremendous power surging within the vortex. Under the golden-winged great pengbird's cultivation technique, it was directly being used by the golden-winged great pengbird. However, the power was far too terrifying. It constantly exceeded what he could bear and wanted to tear apart everything. Under the terrifying energy, Du Xiaofu felt like his body was about to shatter at any time. He wanted to flee. Under the terrifying energy, his soul trembled and his body was torn apart. He had to endure unbearable pain. If he failed, he would be doomed. Do you want to crush me? Devour, devour everything. Instinctively, Du Xiaofu remained stubborn. His soul pulsed and he smiled viciously. Within the huge vortex of energy, indescribable pain radiated from every part of Du Xiaofu's body. The pain was almost unbearable, but Du Xiaofu managed to hold on through sheer willpower. Refine. Refine. Under the intense pain, Du Xiaofu constantly used the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock clan. He began to devour all of the terrifying energy. Asterisk whoosh whoosh. Asterisk as Du Xiaofu refined the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock clan, the energy in the terrifying vortex became more and more terrifying. As if it was being drawn, the energy surged over violently in an attempt to destroy Du Xiaofu. It made Du Xiaofu suffer even more. The pain almost made Du Xiaofu faint again. It was more than enough to demonstrate how terrifying it was. Du Xiaofu forcefully endured the indescribable pain. Over the years, Du Xiaofu had been training by himself. Outsiders had only seen his frightening cultivation speed, but they did not know how many times Du Xiaofu had almost died, and how many times he had lingered in front of the god of death. The birth of an expert was definitely not a coincidence. It was a never-ending pursuit and tempering. The black broken bone in Du Xiaofu's chest and the resplendent black blood also pulsed with pure energy. As Du Xiaofu circulated the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock, this energy silently transformed in his body. In the end, it fused with Du Xiaofu's body. Du Xiaofu roared out in pain. The pain became more and more unbearable, as if his body was about to be destroyed. Although Du Xiaofu had circulated the cultivation method of the golden-winged rock clan, the energy was far too vast. The speed at which he refined it was nowhere near enough. The energy became more and more violent, surging into his body. Arg. The pain was unbearable for Du Xiaofu, but the terrifying energy was far too vast. Du Xiaofu could not bear it at all. The terrifying energy filled every inch of Du Xiaofu's body. At the same time, it filled the depths of his soul. I'll refine as much as there is. Du Xiaofu bellowed in his heart. Despite the pain, his heart was extremely strong. What kind of pain had he not experienced before? In a daze, Du Xiaofu had already calmed down in the energy cocoon. His hand seals changed, forming a cultivation hand seal. He sat cross-legged in the whirlpool and began to refine and comprehend the energy. The terrifying energy wreaked havoc in the stone room. The whirlpool howled like a storm, viciously slamming into Du Xiaofu. There were also the figures of the golden-winged rock and Kun floating in the air. It was like a miracle. As Du Xiaofu focused on refining the energy, an invisible force seeped out from his body, causing the space around him to slowly distort. Du Xiaofu was once again completely immersed in the special state, ignoring everything in the outside world. At this moment, this state of mind that had always been as firm as a rock played a huge role. All distracting thoughts were blocked outside, and he began to enter a state of selflessness. The terrifying energy storm around the chrysalis was still colliding with Du Xiaofu. The energy contained in this energy storm was indescribable. Wave after wave of collisions continued to hit Du Xiaofu, and the energy spread out in a ring shape. Time began to pass and the aura around Du Xiaofu continued to rise. Du Xiaofu was still in a state of selflessness, allowing the terrifying energy to slam into him. At a certain moment, Du Xiaofu felt something strange. The energy that seeped out from the broken black bone was extremely terrifying at the beginning. However, in the end, Du Xiaofu discovered that the terrifying energy was no longer terrifying after it entered his body. Instead, it was like a spring breeze caressing his face. Afterwards, the energy directly entered his body, causing his body and even his soul to experience an indescribable sense of comfort. The energy immediately spread through his limbs, bones, muscles, and organs after entering his body. It began to fuse with the blood of the golden-winged roc. His limbs, bones, muscles, and internal organs were all attached to this energy. Amidst the golden color, a black color gradually appeared, seeping directly into his bones and fusing with his billions of cells. At that moment, Du Xiaofu felt an indescribable feeling throughout his body. The fusion of energy was extremely wondrous, making him feel extremely comfortable. The cultivation method of the golden-winged roc circulated scarlet blood. The various types of energy in his body turned into pure profound energy in the end. A tremendous presence of the soul also radiated out. This kind of energy seemed to speed up the circulation of the golden-winged great pengbird's cultivation technique. The energy that covered the sky and earth seemed to be pulled violently as it began to endlessly rush into Du Xiaofu's body. Under the accelerated circulation of the cultivation method of the golden-winged roc, Du Xiaofu's presence immediately rose as he rapidly refined and absorbed the surging energy. Walala! The aura that emanated from Du Xiaofu's body grew stronger and stronger. The surging aura was rising at a rapid speed. The energy was very complex. At that moment, Du Xiaofu did not know where it came from. He only felt that there was the energy of the mysterious black broken bone, as well as a vast amount of external energy. There was even a kind of energy of the heavens and the earth. It was boundless and endless. Du Xiaofu's presence was rising. The shadows of the black fish and the golden-winged roc in the stone room continued to rise and fall for a few days, changing unpredictably and evolving. Time passed again. The chaos in the outside world continued. In the burial wasteland, most of the places were dead and withered. In the dim void, the occasional roar of a beast could be heard coming from the distant heavens and earth. In a brown mountain range, there were white bones and broken walls. Whoosh whoosh! At that moment, several figures flashed out of the void and disappeared in an instant, heading straight for the canyon in front. The canyon was calm and there was nothing out of the ordinary. What a bunch of grandsons of the Yao family. You're courting death. Damn it. At that moment, several figures appeared in the air. Their voices reverberated in the square, and a bloody and fierce aura swept out. Who dares to be impudent to the Yao family? Boom! In the canyon, a seal suddenly appeared, and several figures jumped out. The weakest of them was at the domain realm, and their auras were extremely powerful. Remember, Zhen Qingchun and the 18 celestial generals of the barren country are here to collect debts. In the air, Zhen Qingchun, the child of the holy matrix, had a sinister smile on his wretched face. He looked at the cultivators of the Yao family in front of him with murderous intent and threw out the six-wheel blood-killing matrix. Many of the Yao family disciples did not even have time to react. They only felt that their bodies were sealed in an instant, and the terrifying aura of the blood-killing array enveloped them. It's them again. They took advantage of the patriarch's absence to launch a sneak attack on us, shouted an expert from the Yao clan. His expression changed drastically. These people had been ambushed by them some time ago and suffered heavy injuries. In the end, they managed to escape. In the end, these people were like ghosts that refused to disperse, constantly chasing after them. Till Yi Piaoling and Qian Guyu attacked and started a massacre. Bam! Many of the Yao family disciples were killed instantly. A large area of the surrounding space was instantly distorted and shattered. Some of the weaker Yao family disciples were instantly turned into ashes. A terrifying aura swept out in all directions. Qian Guyu and Yi Piaoling attacked, and an overwhelming Xian Qi swept out and sealed the void. Rumble! Rumble. Several graceful figures appeared. They were Ouyang Shuang, Dai Xingyu, and several huge ferocious beasts, such as the demonic ape, the ice toad, and the ground wolf, appeared. The ground wolf, the demonic ape, and the others continued to attack. They transformed into their true forms and blasted out fist, palm, and claw prints. The mountains suddenly collapsed, the ground cracked, and the earth shook. Bam, bam, bam. Rumble. This huge commotion had long alarmed the surroundings. Many living beings nearby gathered over, and when they saw this scene from afar, they were all tongue-tied. Let's go. The sacred array boy, Zhen Qingchun, looked around at the Yao clan members who had been killed. The corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. His figure flashed and he disappeared from the spot. Yi Pialing left behind a cold voice. The barren country is not a place that anyone can offend. Those who offend the barren country will be killed without mercy. Bam! It's the barren country's people. Bam! The barren country's people are really bold. They actually killed the Yao family's experts directly. They're all in the Saint Realm, and there's also that supreme Ant Queen. How terrifying! Rumor has it that the barren country came from the outside world. The Rock Emperor is the emperor of the barren country. The supreme Ant Queen is the Rock Emperor's daughter. I heard that the Yao family's experts ambushed these people some time ago. Now they're retaliating. Chapter 2401. I heard that the experts from the Yao family ambushed the experts from the desolate country some time ago. At this moment, many living beings had gathered, and all of them revealed looks of shock. Swoosh, an hour later, an expert descended into the canyon. His aura was vast, and he was enraged when he saw the bloody mist and the corpse fragments on the ground. Desolate country, you are provoking the Yao family. The expert's voice was like thunder and shook the void. He was furious. Inside the stone room, Du Xiaofu was still continuing. As an endless stream of energy from the heavens and earth was drawn into his body, from the initial intense pain to the current wave of vast energy entering his body, it already made his entire body feel indescribably comfortable. The profound energy in his divine gates and the Yuan spirit in his Naiwen palace surged, causing Du Xiaofu to feel as if he had gone crazy. At this moment, both the Xian Qi and the primordial spirit in Du Xiaofu's body were surging like a vast ocean. The energy fluctuated and the shadows of the black fish and the golden rock appeared and changed. The vast energy in the stone chamber surged into him and the entire stone chamber whistled. Du Xiaofu's aura continued to rise and the energies surged endlessly. As the surging energy continued, time passed. Du Xiaofu's aura continued to rise as if it would never reach a peak. The outside world was still in chaos. No one knew when the desolate country's name had spread in the heaven burial wasteland. Many experts had been killed, including the Yao family, the Ji family, the distant Sky Flame Phoenix clan and other large clans. Anyone who had offended the desolate country would be hunted down and robbed of everything they had. This news seemed to have grown wings and spread with the wind. It was like a bomb had exploded in the heaven burial wasteland. Such a shocking commotion caused the experts in the Sky Burial Wasteland to discuss fervently. They never expected that the Beast Alliance and the Human Clan, such as the Ji Clan, the Yao Clan, and the distant Sky Flame Phoenix Clan, would be suppressed by a desolate country from the outside world. After the news spread, the barren country's name became famous. Many pieces of news were spread, some were true, some were false. The most shocking news was that the mysterious Great Rock Emperor was from the barren country, and he was the emperor of the barren country. In the secret realm, in the void, various talisman runes flashed. Roar. Translator, Nioibo Studio Editor, Nioibo Studio Editor, Nioibo Studio of the Desolate Country of Dragons. A dragon's roar, dragons, crimson gold, red dragon revealed its true form. It flapping its wings Phoenix clan and it was a dragon's rock dragons was. Whoosh. Whoosh. The scales all over the body of this crimson gold unique dragon were currently emitting a flowing light. Every scale was absorbing this enormous invisible natural energy. Both of its wings were covered by a seven-colored divine flame. On its ferocious head, the third vertical demonic large eye suddenly opened at this moment. A powerful aura also suddenly surged out from its body in all directions. Rumble. As the aura burst out, the dragon suddenly soared into the sky. At the same time, it brought with it an absolute pressure. At this moment, the entire secret realm was trembling under the powerful aura. A powerful aura shook the space, and ripples spread out in the air. A power that could shake one's soul spread out. What a powerful pressure! Wow! Not far away, a golden-clothed youth's golden spirit eyes were also trembling. At this moment, under the frightening dragon's might, he felt a frightening pressure spreading out. Under the shroud of this pressure, he was also greatly affected. About an hour later, the huge body of the crimson gold variant dragon emitted a power that could distort even space. After a while, its closed eyes opened abruptly. 3 of its eyes appeared at the same time, and it let out a roar with its head held high. Roar. This roar was like a dragon's roar that shook the 9 heavens. It's really strong. Roar. At this moment, the golden-clothed young man's eyes trembled under the pressure. He felt helpless and muttered softly, "The benefits of the secret realm that I risked my life to find have been taken by this girl. Is there any justice in this world?" Above the void, the crimson gold dragon's body was shining with crimson gold. Its wings, which were hundreds of feet long, were like the wings of a phoenix. Blazing rainbow flames spread out from its wings. Starlight flowed on the surface of its body. There was also the aura of the golden-winged rock and a frightening sovereign aura that swept across the sky, causing the entire void to tremble. After a while, the crimson gold dragon's aura gradually calmed down. Only the crimson gold dragon's eyes were filled with golden flames, as if they contained 2 vast golden seas of fire. A frightening, strange, and complicated pressure descended from its body into the void. Roar. A dragon's roar resounded and the sound waves rolled. At this moment, the aura of the crimson gold dragon had once again stepped into a frightening realm. It was soaring as if it was sitting on a rocket. When the dragon's roar fell, the golden flames around the crimson gold dragon's body were extinguished. The dazzling light converged and a small figure slowly appeared in the eyes of the golden-clothed young man. Little Xingxing turned into his human form and was floating in the air. "Father, I will find you." Little Xingxing clenched his small fists tightly. Golden flames flickered in Little Xingxing's eyes, revealing a noble aura that could not be concealed. The light golden mark between his eyebrows was like a vertical eye, appearing mysterious and enchanting. Later stage Sacred Beast Realm. Do you still want others to live? What a monster. The golden-clothed young man appeared out of nowhere and rolled his eyes at Little Xingxing. The corners of his mouth curled into a displeased arc, but there was also joy in it. "Hee, you have also gained some benefits. It's just that you haven't broken through yet." Little Xingxing looked at Du Xiaoyao and chuckled. This time, he had gained great benefits. He had to thank Du Xiaoyao's talent for allowing him to break through directly. Du Xiaoyao felt very aggrieved when she said this. Who could make such an abnormal breakthrough? This was the Sacred Beast Realm. However, this little monster had broken through as if no one could stop him. It was too terrifying. Phew! Phew! Little Xingxing stretched his small body and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air from his mouth. A valiant aura also faintly fluctuated from his body. Compared to before, his aura was undoubtedly much more valiant. The vibrating spatial ripples spread out. Monster. Phew! Du Xiaoyao was already speechless. She simply ignored him. This guy had gotten most of the benefits that she had gained. "Let's go and find your father," Du Xiaoyao said. She didn't want to stay with this little monster anymore. She would only be angrier if she continued to stay with him. Whoosh whoosh, 2 figures broke through the sky and left, disappearing into the void. In a huge mountain range, there were overlapping mountains that seemed to stretch to the end of the sky. Many broken walls and ruins could be seen faintly. The sky was dusky and the air was mixed with a thick smell of blood. Outside the broken walls, one could see the majestic winding city walls, like a winding dragon circling around. It could be seen how majestic this huge building was at that time. There were many figures in a dilapidated ancient palace. They were Long Qianchao, Hui Wu, Shihongtu Shiyu and others. Those people from the desolate country are getting stronger. Long Qianchao's face was gloomy. From the news that had spread recently, those people from the desolate country had reached a terrifying level. Those reckless guys. They have made such a big move this time and dared to provoke so many forces here. I'm afraid that they will anger the Yao family, Ji family, and the Flame Phoenix clan. They are digging their own graves. Su Sanyan said. Hui Wu's brows were tightly knitted as he paced back and forth twice. Then he placed his palm on the table. His expression kept changing as he muttered, "No matter what, the desolate country's threat is getting bigger and bigger. If this goes on, I'm afraid that once we leave this place, we won't be able to stop the desolate country." Didn't you say that the seal on the crack outside is about to disappear? Will the experts from the various clans be able to enter again? Shihongtu asked. It should be soon. Perhaps some experts have already entered. Su Sanyan said with a cold look in his eyes. Once the experts from the various clans enter, we can't let the desolate country continue like this. We have to kill them immediately. Within the stone room, under the majestic energy, the aura that spread out from Du Xiaofu's body slowly strengthened. Wave after wave of vast and mighty energy spread out from his body like waves, causing his aura to rise and swell. Huff huff, huff huff. At this moment, the majestic energy around Du Xiaofu continued to pour in. Under the violent surge of energy, Du Xiaofu's aura had reached the peak of the later stage of the Sage Realm. His aura continued to increase. The process of increase was extremely fast. He was about to break through to the later stage of the Sage Realm. In fact, one could even feel the rising aura with their own eyes. This was a fatal temptation for any cultivator. If a living being were to witness such a terrifying breakthrough in the Sage Realm at this moment, their view of the Sage Realm as a breakthrough was as difficult as ascending to the heavens, would collapse immediately. The majestic energy continued to pour in. This energy was too large. It was formed from countless natural treasures and countless sacred medicines. The energy contained in the broken black bone was also very terrifying. Gradually, Du Xiaofu's aura began to climb towards a certain peak. Unknowingly, the spatial ripples in the stone room began to fluctuate, and a golden-black mysterious rune light burst forth, blooming with dazzling mysterious rune light. As time passed, the golden-black mysterious rune light around Du Xiaofu's body became more and more intense. His purple-gold skin also gradually emitted light. Boom! In the stone room, the energy of heaven and earth spread out from nowhere and became extremely turbulent. The invisible energy of heaven and earth rapidly condensed and formed a huge energy vortex in the air above the stone room. Finally, it poured into the energy cocoon and rushed into Du Xiaofu's body through the energy cocoon. At this moment, the space of the stone room trembled. Du Xiaofu's aura became more and more powerful. Under the continuous infusion of the invisible energy of heaven and earth, his body was also undergoing various tempering and transformations. His bones, muscles, internal organs, blood vessels, meridians, and so on were also strengthened. After a long time, the invisible energy of heaven and earth in the air above the stone room also became more and more intense as Du Xiaofu's aura became more and more powerful. In the end, the hundreds of millions of pores on the surface of Du Xiaofu's purple-gold body greedily swallowed all the energy that was pouring into his body. The golden-black mysterious rune light bloomed and dazzled. An astonishing scene appeared in the stone room. Quietly, starlight began to revolve within the stone room. Purple flames filled the air, and dazzling golden runes surged. Tyrannical energy fluctuated within the stone room, like a vast ocean, like a golden rainbow crossing the sky. Boom! The stone room rumbled and the earth shook. It was as if heaven and earth were in turmoil. It was shocking. The rising aura on Du Xiaofu's body seemed to have reached a critical point, and the rapidly rising aura gradually came to a halt. Gee! But then, the golden-winged rock and the black-colored fish in the stone room roared. They were so overbearing that it was enough to make all beasts crawl. Purple lightning swept out and the space trembled violently. A terrifying thunder power filled the stone room. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. It was an unparalleled execution. In the stone room, Du Xiaofu's aura became more and more powerful. Under the continuous infusion of the invisible energy of heaven and earth, a muffled sound came from his body. Bang! This muffled sound seemed to have broken through an invisible barrier, and Du Xiaofu's aura suddenly stepped onto a new level. As his aura rose, the full spirit gate and Naiwan palace in his body seemed to have turned from a lake into an ocean. Suddenly, the energy of heaven and earth from the surrounding area crazily poured into them. Rumble! The energy cocoon around Du Xiaofu cracked at this moment. Then, it surged into Du Xiaofu's body like a raging tide. The aura that had stagnated around Du Xiaofu suddenly rose even more violently. Then, he stepped into a new realm. A terrifying aura swept through the sky. At this moment, Du Xiaofu's body was like a bottomless pit. Under the infusion of the energy of heaven and earth, it continuously absorbed all the vast energy. The commotion lasted for a very long time. After a long time, the surging energy of heaven and earth in the stone room began to dissipate. At this moment, a dazzling white divine light rippled on Du Xiaofu's body. It was accompanied by an ancient aura. Then, everything gradually calmed down. Chi. When everything completely calmed down, the stone room returned to normal. The illusions of the golden rock and the black fish also dissipated. Only Du Xiaofu's purple gold naked body was sitting cross-legged. The purple gold light shone brightly, and traces of purple electric arcs did not fluctuate over time. They gave off a metallic texture and were as clear as jade. Finally, Du Xiaofu moved. He exhaled a long breath of turbid air from his throat. The spatial ripples in front of him were directly shaken off by the turbid air. At the same time, Du Xiaofu's tightly shut eyes trembled slightly. He suddenly opened them. Within his eyes, two blazing purple-gold thunderbolts shot out. The purple-gold thunderbolts in his eyes rushed out. They seemed to materialize and soared into the sky. Rumble! Rumble! The thunderbolts swept out, and the space trembled violently. A terrifying thunderous might filled the sky. After a while, the countless thunderbolts pierced through the space and disappeared from the stone room. A powerful aura suddenly surged out from within his body in all directions. Compared to before, his aura was undoubtedly worlds apart. Spatial ripples directly spread apart from him. When the purple-gold thunderbolts disappeared, a strange scene appeared in Du Xiaofu's eyes. In his left eye, there seemed to be a golden-winged rock soaring in the sky. In his right eye, there seemed to be a black kuan bobbing up and down in the boundless sea. All of this was strange and mysterious. Du Xiaofu peeked into his body. At this moment, the Xian Qi in his body was rolling like a vast ocean. Compared to the middle stage of the sage realm, the Xian Qi in his body and the aura on his body had reached another level. It was as if his body had the power to destroy everything. It was a world of difference from the middle stage of the sage realm. Most importantly, in his primordial spirit in his mud pill palace, Du Xiaofu clearly felt that his primordial spirit had risen to a terrifying level. What shocked Du Xiaofu even more was that there was another broken bone in his chest that didn't belong to him. It was right beside the bone that he had obtained from the golden-winged rock. It was fused with a black broken bone, and it was covered with a bit of gold. This bone was obtained from Feiyu. There was no news about it, and he didn't know what it was. However, Du Xiaofu knew now. This bone is from the kuan. From the bone, Du Xiaofu knew the origin of this bone. This was the bone of the kuan, a supreme ferocious beast. It was said that it came from the North Sea, and it wasn't inferior to the golden-winged rock. Du Xiaofu had also acquired the cultivation method and supreme beast abilities from the bones. Furthermore, he had learned that widower sage had probably benefited from the bones of the kuan, which had led him to become an Archean expert. But no matter what, he didn't die, and he actually broke through again. Du Xiaofu was overjoyed. Phew! Phew! Du Xiaofu stretched and felt the tyrannical Xian Qi in his Dantian Sea of Qi, and the power of the primordial spirit in his mind. He couldn't help but smile. At this moment, the aura on his body made Du Xiaofu's heart beat faster. Late-stage Holy Beast Realm. Du Xiaofu waved his hand as he felt the cultivation of the late-stage Holy Beast Realm in his body. His aura burst out, and a space ripple began to sway. Then it distorted and finally broke into pieces. Du Xiaofu withdrew his aura into his body, and the space slowly recovered. A ray of light flashed in Du Xiaofu's eyes. He had sensed that the fluctuation from a moment ago had been able to tear the space apart. This had left Du Xiaofu shocked in his heart. After all, the gap between the intermediate stage of the Sage Realm and the late stage of the Sage Realm was two completely different concepts. The strength of a Sage expert would increase with every breakthrough. Every level was a huge chasm. This saying wasn't false at all. What shocked Du Xiaofu even more was that every breakthrough in the Sage Realm was like a chasm. However, Du Xiaofu could clearly feel another new aura in his body. This aura made Du Xiaofu have a strange feeling in his heart. This aura seemed to have come from the secret bone of the Kuan. This aura wasn't as domineering as the aura of the golden-winged Pengbird clan. However, it was endless. It was completely opposite to the aura of the golden-winged Pengbird clan. However, this aura wasn't inferior to the golden-winged Pengbird clan. Such a miraculous aura made Du Xiaofu feel as if his physical body had undergone another metamorphosis. Du Xiaofu carefully observed his body at this moment. He was surprised to find that his muscles, bones, and muscles were almost the same as those of the real Pengbird clan. However, they were now covered with a deep black color. They were beginning to show a black-golden color. Even the blood on his body had black blood in it. It was very strange. Du Xiaofu felt that all of this was very different. This change was almost substantial. It was all the influence of the mysterious bone. Du Xiaofu didn't know whether this change was harmful or not. There was another bone in his body that didn't belong to him. However, at least for now, it was beneficial to him. Therefore, he didn't think too much about it. At this moment, the feeling of his strength skyrocketing made Du Xiaofu feel indescribably wonderful. At this moment, Du Xiaofu felt that with his primordial spirit, as long as he was in a place where his primordial spirit could reach, he could launch a primordial spirit attack. If he faced a cultivator at the same level as him, even if he was far away, he could launch a primordial spirit attack in an instant. He could seal the target he wanted to attack in an instant. Coupled with the spiritual thunder on his body, he could simply kill the opponent in an instant. This could be his trump card in the future. Estimating the power of his primordial spirit and the trembling of his body, Du Xiaofu felt that compared to before, there was no comparison at all. Only he could feel how powerful he was. In his body, Du Xiaofu felt that there seemed to be an invisible brand in his body. It came from the mysterious bone of the Kuan. It carried an aura that was completely opposite to the aura of the golden-winged great Pengbird clan. It took root and sprouted in his body, merging with his limbs, bones, and billions of cells. Feeling this indescribable change, Du Xiaofu guessed that it might be the benefits brought by the bone of the Kuan that made him seem to have undergone a qualitative transformation. Above the bone, Du Xiaofu also knew that he had comprehended a supreme beast energy that was not inferior to the golden-winged great Pengbird clan. Boom! His hand seal condensed and changed. A pitch-black light burst out from his body and turned into a huge black Kuan in front of him. A terrifying power filled the air. The Kuan seemed to be alive. Its eyes were like two suns, looking down on all living things and suppressing the ancient times. It was comparable to a real dragon. When it spread its wings, it could cover the void and cover the clouds in the sky. Chapter 2402. Rumble. Mysterious black runes shuttled back and forth. The giant Kuan seemed to be floating in the boundless sea. It was extremely shocking. Looking at the supreme beast ability he had manifested, Du Xiaofu was also very surprised. That giant Kuan was actually so terrifying. The aura it emitted was enough to be on par with the real dragon and real phoenix, and could be on par with the real rock. Carefully feeling the changes of that giant Kuan, Du Xiaofu was secretly shocked. This giant Kuan was somewhat similar to the golden-winged rock. One was the rock of the 9 heavens, the other was the giant Kuan of the sea. However, there was an invisible connection between them. For a moment, he couldn't understand. Du Xiaofu didn't think much about it and withdrew the supreme beast ability of the giant Kuan. Feeling his current cultivation strength, if he were to meet that thunder goat again, it would probably be fun. Thinking of this, the corners of Du Xiaofu's mouth curled into a smile. He was really looking forward to meeting that thunder goat again. Even if he were to meet that Blood Mane ancestor again, it would still be fun. Blood Mane, I'm really looking forward to meeting you here. Du Xiaofu murmured softly and gently clenched his fist. In just a moment, Du Xiaofu was immersed in a beautiful fantasy. Before he could recover, he was about to cry. What's going on? What's going on? Du Xiaofu finally saw everything in the stone room at this moment. There were divine weapons floating everywhere, and the purple gold heavenly palace, the ancient desolate space, the illusory saber formation and the others were at the side. Even the 9 tribulations sword was there. Touching his bare body, Du Xiaofu realized that all the Qinkuan bags on him were gone. Du Xiaofu was in a daze. He was stunned and couldn't recover for a long time. Du Xiaofu faintly recalled that after his physical body was smashed by the remains of the primordial great power, his primordial spirit fell into a coma, and the spiritual thunder in his primordial spirit began to wreak havoc. Then, it smashed his Qinkuan bag into pieces. Because it was his spiritual thunder and his Qinkuan bag, although the Qinkuan bag was sealed, the treasures inside were not destroyed. However, the spiritual thunder directly smashed them into pieces. Piles of heavenly treasures, divine medicines, elixirs, and spiritual medicines directly turned into spiritual liquid. Du Xiaofu finally understood. No wonder he felt that surging energy coming from nowhere, as if it wanted to tear him apart countless times, consigning him to eternal damnation. It turned out that it was the treasures he had painstakingly collected along the way. Pain, heartache, physical pain. Du Xiaofu was on the verge of tears. So many divine medicines and heavenly treasures. There was also a huge pile of ancient martial techniques, cultivation techniques, and piles of Tao and immortal treasures. All of them had been destroyed. If he had known this would happen, he would have given those Tao and immortal treasures to the violet gold heavenly tower to devour. Du Xiaofu touched his chest, almost pounding his chest and stamping his feet. He had painstakingly collected all those treasures along the way. He had thought of all the methods, spent a lot of effort, and took a lot of risks. In the end, it was all gone. After a long time, Du Xiaofu calmed down a little. He thought about how he had so many divine medicines and heavenly treasures. At the very least, he had broken through again. Now that he had stepped into the late Saint Beast realm, it didn't seem like he had suffered a loss. However, when he thought about how all those martial skills, Tao tools, magic tools, cultivation methods, and magic tools were buried with him, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but feel a faint pain in his heart. Sensing the aura of the heavenly violet gold tower, Du Xiaofu felt as though the heavenly violet gold tower had fallen into a state of slumber. Du Xiaofu counted the sacred artifacts on him and wondered if the heavenly violet gold tower had stolen a good number of his sacred artifacts. He felt as though there was something off about the number of sacred artifacts. Soon after, Du Xiaofu discovered a well-preserved Qinkuan bag. This Qinkuan bag was left behind by the great elder of Tianwo Academy. When he entered this fearsome ground, this mysterious Qinkuan bag seemed to have reacted. This Qinkuan bag actually managed to escape from the spiritual thunder. This made Du Xiaofu feel that this Qinkuan bag was even more mysterious. Soon after, Du Xiaofu packed up everything around him. He kept the purple gold heavenly tower, illusory saber formation, and ancient desolate space into his body. Without the Qinkuan bag on him, Du Xiaofu could only keep the 9 tribulations sword and the other divine weapons into the ancient desolate space. These divine weapons were very strong. The spiritual thunder didn't destroy them and they managed to escape. However, Du Xiaofu felt that there was something wrong with the number of divine weapons. He suspected the purple gold heavenly tower. After packing up everything, Du Xiaofu clapped his hands. He awkwardly realized that he didn't have any external objects on him. His body was naked. He had no choice but to activate the green spirit armor to cover his body. I'm afraid a long time has passed. More than half a month has passed. Du Xiaofu estimated the time. He seemed to have lost the concept of time when he was comprehending. However, he also faintly felt that not much time had passed in the real world. However, more than half a month had passed. He should think of a way to leave. He didn't know if Lu Limo had successfully escaped. He also didn't know where the ancient mighty remains had gone. Looking around the stone room, Du Xiaofu carefully sized it up. It was better to leave early. If the ancient mighty remains came back, Zhang Jiajie wouldn't be its opponent even if he had broken through. Du Xiaofu didn't have much luck. Soon after, he discovered that the seal that was originally set up in the stone room had strangely disappeared. It wasn't difficult for him to leave. Waving his hand, Du Xiaofu tore the void apart and left the stone room. A few hours later, in a mountain range, more than 10 human race experts were forming a team to explore. Suddenly, a mysterious golden light burst out. The leader of the team, a thin middle-aged man, who was in the initial stage of the Saint Realm, directly disappeared. Then, as the dozen or so experts searched in fear, they saw the middle-aged Saint Realm expert not far away. His entire body was covered in restrictions, and his clothes had been stripped off, leaving only a pair of pants that reached his hips. His eyes were turbid and dull. Not long after, there was a rumor that a super expert who was homosexual had appeared in the burial dead grounds. He specialized in attacking Saint Realm experts. There were already Saint Realm experts who had been humiliated. Gossip is a fearful thing. Gossip is a fearful thing. The next day, in a place where many powerful beings had gathered, an ordinary-looking young man shook his head and sighed. He had only casually taken some clothes and a Qiankuan pouch. How could he be a homosexual? This was definitely a rumor. This ordinary-looking young man was Du Xiaofu. He used a divine disguise technique and walked out of the stone room. In this place where living beings gathered, Du Xiaofu also received a lot of news. There were fights for treasures everywhere. Experts of various races had all come out. Even ancestor-level experts had appeared. It was rumored that not long ago, the blood-malevolent ancestor had been defeated and forced to flee. The name of the desolate country had also spread throughout the burial dead grounds. It had intimidated the burial dead grounds, but of course, it had also made many enemies. From all kinds of news, what shocked Du Xiaofu the most was that the entrance to the outside world had changed. It was possible that the experts who had entered the burial dead grounds before could enter again. This caused Du Xiaofu's expression to turn solemn. From the looks of it, it was true. This meant that the experts in the eternal tomb could also enter. There were many of his enemies there, as well as those terrifying devil emperors from the devil cult. Seems like I have to find everyone as soon as possible. Du Xiaofu murmured. Regardless of whether it was the devil emperors or experts from the eternal tomb who had entered, or the old ancestor world experts who had also lowered their status to act, his eldest brother Jin Qingchun and his drunkard father weren't a match for them. He had to find them quickly. The competition for the burial heaven deathland was getting more and more intense. It was unknown how many major powers had been dragged into it. The impact was huge, and many experts had already died. Of course, many experts had also risen, and supreme experts had risen, shaking the world. There's a mysterious secret realm that's opening. It's startling everyone. Experts from various forces are flocking over. It's rumored that the blood essence of a true dragon and a true phoenix might be hidden inside. Du Xiaofu received such news. Given the character of the people of the desolate country, if they received such news, Du Xiaofu knew that they wouldn't let it go. He might be able to find everyone there. Several hours later, Du Xiaofu's figure appeared in the void. Under the Blood Soul seal, he controlled a peak main domain ferocious bird as his mount. He also gathered some information. At the same time, two more people appeared beside Du Xiaofu. One was a little girl, and the other was a teenager. They were Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba. In the desolate ancient space, they weren't affected at all. They had all recovered from their injuries. Du Xiaoba had even improved slightly. Go as fast as you can. Du Xiaofu sat cross-legged on the back of the ferocious bird. Yes, master. Yes. The ferocious bird replied. Its eyes were filled with reverence and obedience. As it flapped its wings, talisman inscriptions flickered. The surrounding space twisted slightly as ripples appeared. The airflow whistled past, bringing with it the low sound of rushing wind. As he sat cross-legged on the back of the ferocious bird, the whistling airflow swept past with a gale. A while later, Du Xiaofu's robes fluttered slightly under his disguise technique. An invisible golden ring of light appeared around him. His eyes narrowed slowly as he began to immerse himself in comprehending the three swords of space severing. The mysteries of space were faintly discernible around him. The breakthrough this time was a fluke. Du Xiaofu was overjoyed, but at the same time, he was also glad that he hadn't fallen behind in his comprehension during this period of time. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for him to break through even if he had exploded. At the level of saint, comprehension was more important than cultivating profound qi. The ferocious bird flapped its wings. A strand of spatial energy circled around Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu's comprehension ability had always improved by leaps and bounds in terms of comprehension, but it was absolutely monstrous. However, he had spent quite a bit of time comprehending the three swords of space severing. Of course, Du Xiaofu knew that it was because the three swords of space severing were the most profound and formidable. Even though he had broken through once more, Du Xiaofu didn't want to waste any time. He was still far away from the demon god. Du Xiaofu found out from the ferocious bird that he was still some distance away from the secret realm he had discovered, so he just started cultivating and comprehending. He was so immersed in his comprehension that he was completely unaware of it. Of course, Du Xiaofu had set up restrictions as well, so he wouldn't be careless at all. Even though they encountered many living beings along the way, this ferocious bird at the peak of the Overlord realm wasn't weak, so no living beings came to disturb them. They were all hurrying on their way. Moreover, the faint aura that Du Xiaohuang gave off was enough to deter ordinary experts. Gradually, many silhouettes appeared in the surrounding mountains one after another. When they saw the silhouettes on the ferocious bird, no one dared to stop them. At this moment, everyone was here to search for treasures. There were not many people who would take the initiative to provoke others. No one would be willing to fight for no reason. Huff! A few hours later, Du Xiaofu exhaled a mouthful of turbid air as he awoke from his comprehension. Master, we're almost there. The ferocious bird's voice rang out. Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked ahead when he heard the bird's voice. He saw that the sky in the distance was dim and hazy. A faint blood mist obscured the sky and enveloped a large area in front of him. The silhouette of several enormous mountains could be seen in the blood mist, but he couldn't make them out clearly. However, the closer he got, the more ancient and desolate the aura he sensed. It was accompanied by a terrifying killing intent. The aura was enough to make one's soul tremble. This place isn't simple. Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows. Was this the secret realm they had discovered? Just the aura alone was enough to make one's heart tremble. It was as if there was an astonishing danger lurking within. At that moment, Du Xiaofu's expression changed. He waved his hand and a light flashed between his brows. A Qinquan bag appeared in his hand. It was an ordinary Qinquan bag that exuded an ancient and boundless aura. There wasn't anything special about it, but there was a flicker of light that quickly disappeared. This was the Qinquan bag that Du Xiaofu had kept in the Qinquan bag that the Tianwu Academy's supreme elder had given to him. In order to prevent any accidents from happening, Du Xiaofu had kept the saint artifacts in the Qinquan bag even though he had obtained quite a number of them. Du Xiaofu was certain that his eyes weren't playing tricks on him. The Qinquan bag that the Tianwu Academy's supreme elder had given to him had reacted again. In fact, the reaction lasted for a while before disappearing. Holding the Qinquan bag in his hand, Du Xiaofu's Yuan spirit peered into the Qinquan bag. However, he realized that even with the strength of his Yuan spirit, he still felt like a stone sinking into the ocean. He couldn't see what was inside the Qinquan bag at all. What's inside? Yes. Du Xiaofu retracted his Yuan spirit. Just now, he had clearly sensed that the Qinquan bag, which hadn't reacted all this while, had fluctuated a little. Father, there are quite a few people ahead. Du Xiaohuang said. Are we too late? There are already quite a few people ahead. Du Xiaoba stood up. His half-grown figure stood with his hands behind his back as he stared ahead. He could sense that there were already quite a few auras in the mountain range ahead. They seemed to have matured. No, they're all waiting. Du Xiaofu casually put the Qinghuan bag into his arms. Using his consciousness, he had already peered ahead. He could sense that there were quite a few auras in front of him. They were all waiting for something. The ferocious bird spread its wings. It was getting closer and closer to the space ahead. The desolate and bloody aura was getting stronger and stronger. Vaguely, Du Xiaofu could even feel a murderous aura leaking out. It was even more frightening. Be careful. Du Xiaofu instructed Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba. It was also because these two little guys had already recovered and he wanted them to continue training that he brought them out of the desolate ancient space. Then, Du Xiaofu had the ferocious bird withdraw its body. It turned into a tall and thin middle-aged man. It landed on the ground and went straight to the entrance of the secret realm. There was already a sea of people around. He didn't know where so many experts came from. Du Xiaofu raised his head and looked ahead. He could only see a vast and boundless space. He could vaguely see a huge mountain range. The desolate and bloody aura was spreading and coexisting. It was very shocking. Between the surrounding mountains, there was a huge square. In the gaps of the forest, there were some demonic and spiritual beast remains. The white bones added a bit of gloominess to this place. As soon as he arrived, Du Xiaofu's expression changed. He could sense quite a few familiar auras. At this time, there were already many familiar figures around. At a glance, Du Xiaofu was quite surprised. In addition to the familiar experts from the Beast Alliance and the human race, there were also many figures from the Buddhist school, Confucian school, and farmer school from the outside world. He didn't expect these people to be here. Du Xiaofu saw people from the Confucian school, the school of agriculture, and the Buddhist school. After all, they were all from the outside world, and Du Xiaofu was relieved that they were safe and sound. There were also some familiar figures among them: Jiao Chongling, Heng Lun, Patriarch Meng Wen, Kong Sansi, Zhou Xiaoluo, Elder Daipa. Of course, Du Xiaofu also saw many opponents from the Beast Alliance and the human race. These people were all here, but they hadn't fought yet. Du Xiaofu felt a little relieved after he carefully swept his mind. There didn't seem to be any old ancestor-level powerhouse in this place. However, there were many sage experts here. Several concealed auras were fluctuating among them. They should be the hidden super powerhouses of various big forces. Their cultivations might have already stepped into the late stage of the sage realm. Be careful. Yes. Du Xiaofu said softly to Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba. Although he wasn't afraid of anyone now, it was still better to be careful. Yes. Yes. As Du Xiaofu's voice fell, Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba nodded slightly and responded softly. Each of them was on guard. On this natural square, there were at least 1,000 living beings and experts gathered at this moment. Seeing Du Xiaofu and the others coming in, they attracted some attention. They seemed to have felt the aura of Du Xiaofu and the others. No one dared to stop Du Xiaofu and the other two from moving forward. They all made way for them. Some of the major forces and experts in front didn't pay attention to it. It wasn't surprising that people came one after another. Moreover, everyone was staring at the huge space in front of them at this time. Du Xiaofu was no exception. He moved forward slowly, but his eyes were fixed on the front. The outline of the huge mountain was incomparably huge. The valleys on both sides towered into the clouds. In the gray space, it looked extremely majestic. From within it, there was naturally a strand of an ancient aura that shook the heart and soul, coexisting with a bloody killing intent. Moreover, what shocked Du Xiaofu even more was that from the entrance until the end of his field of vision, there was a thick pile of corpses of living beings, and there were enormous demon beast corpses that were ghastly white. This seems to be a place of great danger. Du Xiaofu looked at the huge mountain. The area of the skeletons was extremely vast. On both sides of the mountain, there was a faint outline of a huge mountain. Looking from afar, in the space filled with murderous aura, There seemed to be a monstrous, ferocious beast crawling there. It made one's hair stand on end. Du Xiaofu didn't have the slightest carelessness. From the moment he entered this dangerous place until now, he had seen and heard all kinds of dangers. He knew very well that this place was definitely not a good place. If he wasn't careful, it was not impossible for him to lose his life here. His eyes secretly rippled with golden light. The more he looked forward, the more Du Xiaofu felt that there was a terrifying aura in front of him. This aura even seemed to make Du Xiaofu feel that it didn't exist in the present world. It made him feel insignificant in his heart. What a terrifying place. What exactly is inside? Du Xiaofu's expression was solemn. Then he came back to his senses. On this natural square, there were still many people joining in. They stared at the huge canyon entrance in front of them. Each of them was a little absent-minded, as if they had felt the aura inside. The creatures that could enter the heaven burial wasteland were already extraordinary. Therefore, after arriving here, they didn't have the slightest bit of carelessness. Some people in the surroundings seemed to have been here for a long time, but no one dared to enter. It was as if they were waiting for something. Why isn't anyone going in? Du Xiaohuang raised her eyebrows and asked in a low voice. There didn't seem to be any special seals in front of them, but the creatures in the surroundings seemed to be waiting for something. Many experts have already died in front of us. Naturally, no one would be stupid enough to be the leader. Otherwise, they would have gone in to explore long ago. However, with so many people here, no one wants to open a path for others. Du Xiaofu said. At the entrance, there were many white skeletons that still had auras. There were bloodstains on some of them, and they seemed to have died not long ago. From the looks of the skeletons, they were all experts. However, they were killed as soon as they got close. Naturally, no one would be the leader. Shua shua. At this moment, just as Du Xiaofu was sizing up the front, he suddenly felt many gazes looking at him. There was no kindness in their eyes, and their gazes were very complicated. Immediately, Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and looked around. He saw many familiar faces. Some of them were from the Ji clan, the Yao clan, and some great forces from the Beast clan. Du Xiaofu looked around and saw some familiar figures. They were Sun Qin from the Sun clan, Sun Quang's ancestor, Jiang Yiding from the Jiang clan, and others. In the crowd, Du Xiaofu saw some of the people he wanted to see the most at this moment. They were Jialo Jueyu, Old Lady Jialo Maoyuo, Big Sister Jialo Kai Ling, Jialo Juekong, and others. Xiao Huang, Xiao Ba, why are you here? A voice that sounded like the sound of nature rang out. Then, a graceful figure flashed out. It was a rather young woman. Her beauty revealed a valiant and heroic spirit. Her radiance illuminated people, and she looked like a goddess in autumn. Chapter 2403. The woman was wearing a tight orange shirt that outlined her graceful figure so well that it was enough to cause one to have a nosebleed. On her soft and boneless waist, there was an accessory in the shape of a short sword. Her long and slender legs were straight and incomparably alluring. Seeing Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba, the woman smiled and rubbed Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba's little heads. She was very happy. Aunt Kaling. Martial Ant. And when they saw this absolute beauty, Du Xiaohuang and Du Xiaoba were also incomparably happy. This was none other than Jialo Kaling. Disciple greets master. Du Xiaoba also went to Jialo Jueyu and bowed respectfully. Jialo Jueyu was his master. What a strong aura. He's about to enter the Saint Realm. Sensing Du Xiaoba's aura, Jialo Juekong and the others couldn't help but tremble. This abnormal little guy, was he going to defy the heavens? He hadn't even entered the Saint Realm yet. Jialo Jueyu was very surprised. He didn't know how his disciple had entered this place, but he was also very surprised when he felt Du Xiaoba's aura. How could he not know what level his disciple's aura had reached? Great-grandmother. Du Xiaohuang was also very obedient. She rushed to the side of the old lady, Jialo Maoyuo, and was very intimate. Girl, why are you here? The old lady was overjoyed and hugged Du Xiaohuang in her arms. When she felt the aura on Du Xiaohuang's body, the old lady's benevolent face was completely shocked. she said in shock. Girl, you broke through to the holy beast realm? Yes, I broke through a long time ago. Du Xiaohuang smiled slightly and said casually. Coo. As these words fell, the old lady, Jialo Juiyu, Jialo Juekong, and the other experts of the Golden-Winged Rock clan all swallowed their saliva. Jialo Kaling was also shocked, but then her gaze fell on Du Xiaofu. Her eyes were like water, with a faint golden light, as if she could see through everything. She was also puzzled. Big sister. Du Xiaofu smiled helplessly. Then, his figure wriggled under the astonished gaze of the beautiful eyes and returned to his original appearance. His resolute face appeared. I knew it was you. A smile appeared on Jialo Kaling's beautiful face. As expected, it was this guy. Greetings, Grandma. Greetings, Elder Jue. Du Xiaofu smiled, and the space under his feet shrank to an inch as he walked to the old lady's side to greet her. It's good that you're fine. It's good that you're fine. The old lady smiled brightly. However, at this moment, the living beings in the plaza were in an uproar. It's the Ant Emperor. Rock Emperor, he's the Rock Emperor. He's the one who killed so many experts and worked together with others to scare blood-malevolent patriarch away. He is the Emperor of the desolate country. Everyone was in an uproar as they discussed animatedly. The crowd surged and many complicated gazes were cast over. It's Du Xiaohuang, Du Xiaoba, and the Demon King Du Xiaofu. An old monk from the Buddhist sect spoke. Ninefold Spirit, Henglun, and the others' eyes rippled. It's the Rock Emperor. It's the Grand Shaman. Figures from the School of Family and the Confucian School immediately came over to greet them. When everyone met, they naturally exchanged pleasantries. They were all very happy. How are the people of the School of Family? Du Xiaofu asked Zhou Xiaoluo. Once again, he met this beautiful and exquisite woman with a noble temperament. Also, I don't know if the elders have fallen or are in other places. I hope they're safe, Zhou Xiaoluo said. At this moment, everyone was looking at Du Xiaofu, including Jialo Juiyu, Jialo Kaling, and the others. They had heard a lot of rumors and knew what this guy had done in this dangerous place. This guy was so dazzling no matter where he went. After exchanging some pleasantries, everyone began to discuss the strange place ahead of them. This place is not simple. Many people have died, so no one dares to set foot here. Perhaps they're waiting for the top experts from the major factions to arrive, so they don't dare to rashly take the risk. Zhou Xiaoluo said. The School of Family had arrived here quite early, and they had seen many experts who entered, but they were all killed inexplicably. Old Lady Jialo Maluo looked at the canyon with a dignified expression. There was an aura inside that made her afraid. Be careful, be careful. Be careful, Du Xiaofu said. Then he looked at the outline of the big mountain in front of him again. Then he slowly walked forward, wanting to take a closer look. You're the Rock Emperor. You're the one who killed the people of my Yao family. At this moment, just as Du Xiaofu took a few steps forward and looked at the vast mountain, a cold voice suddenly sounded. Then, a cold gaze shot towards him. Du Xiaofu's footsteps came to a halt when he heard the chilling voice. He turned his head around and looked in the direction of the voice. The corners of his mouth immediately curled into an icy arc, the lineup of the Ji family. Du Xiaofu's eyes slightly darkened. The one who spoke was none other than an old man with white hair in the lineup of the Ji family. He's about to step into the late-stage sage realm. Du Xiaofu probed with his mind consciousness and felt that the old man's aura was much stronger than Ji Tsong's. However, he hadn't really stepped into the late-stage sage realm, but he should have one foot in the late-stage sage realm. Du Xiaofu sighed inwardly. These clans deserved to be called the big clans of the human race. They really had a strong foundation. Ji Tsong was dead, but now, an expert who was even stronger than Ji Tsong appeared. At this moment, the cold voice of the Ji family's old man, Zhe Yang, immediately attracted some strange gazes. Everyone could hear the coldness in his voice. At this moment, Yan Feng, Yao family, and the other experts in the lineup looked at Du Xiaofu and sneered slightly. Some of them took pleasure in his misfortune and were waiting to watch a good show. Zhou Xiaoluo, Kong Sansi, Jiu Chongling, Jialo Juiyu, and the others were also watching closely at this moment. They were also aware of the conflict between Du Xiaofu and the Ji family. They were also very tactful and had no intention of interfering. When they felt the aura of the old man with white hair, they knew that their cultivation was far from enough. At this moment, the gazes of the other living beings around the square landed on the white-haired old man and Du Xiaofu, their gazes rippling inwardly. That's the Ji family's ancestor Ji Zhen. He has been in seclusion all this time. It is said that he is the elder brother of the Ji family's ancestor Ji Tsang. Rumor has it that the Ji family's ancestor Ji Zhen is very powerful. I'm afraid that he is going to take revenge on the Rock Emperor. The Rock Emperor isn't easy to deal with. Didn't the blood-malevolent patriarch escape back then? The blood-malevolent patriarch was scared away by the Rock Emperor, the red-bone horse ape, and the mutated dragon. Now that the Rock Emperor is alone, I'm afraid the Ji family's ancestor won't miss this opportunity. Discussions instantly broke out and the crowd was in an uproar. In the crowd, the Sun family's Sun Qin, the Sun family's patriarch Sun Kuang, and the Jiang family's Jiang Yiting were also looking at Du Xiaofu with fluctuating gazes. With the Ji family's presence, no one said anything and just quietly observed the situation. Seems like there's a show to watch. At this moment, outside the crowd in the square, a dozen figures appeared in midair. They immediately saw the scene in front of them. The person in front was an extremely elegant and beautiful woman. Her skin was tender and her beautiful eyes were full of longing. She wore a purple pleated skirt that seemed to emit a hazy light, and a fragrance permeated the air. The one who spoke was actually a peerless beauty beside the purple-dressed woman. Her graceful figure was exquisite, her dreamy purple hair glowed, and her figure rose and fell, causing one's heart to sway. Who else could it be other than the mysterious woman called Rainbow Moon that Du Xiaofu had met in the space of the divine domain? It's this guy again. Hongyu looked at Du Xiaofu from afar. Her long purple hair was hazy and dreamy, shrouded in light. Let's wait and see. This danger zone is not simple. Purple Lotus Fairy looked back at Hongyu and said. Her red lips parted slightly, and her voice was soft and gentle. I have no intention of helping. Anyway, I can't beat that old guy. Yes. Hongyu raised her eyebrows slightly and pouted her red lips. There was an evasive look in her eyes. You seem to treat that Demon King very differently. Purple Lotus Fairy smiled and saw the evasive look in Hongyu's eyes. He's especially bad. Sister, you should stay away from him. Hongyu said. I'd like to know what level his strength has reached in this danger ground. Purple Lotus Fairy smiled. Her beautiful eyes stared at Du Xiaofu with great anticipation. Hongyu did not speak again. She just looked over with her beautiful eyes. At this moment, the majority of the people in the square were originally focused on the huge mountain's silhouette. Patriarch Ji Zhen's shout instantly drew everyone's attention to Du Xiaofu and Luo Yunyang. I killed him. Does the Ji family want revenge? Yes. Du Xiaofu stood with his hands clasped behind his back and glanced at ancestor Ji Zhen. His expression sank slightly, but his gaze remained calm. You left your name in the temple. You are a good seedling of the human race. Unfortunately, you have evil intentions. My Ji family is not something you can provoke. Today, Ancestor will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens so that you will not be allowed to harm this world. Ancestor Ji Zhen looked coldly at Du Xiaofu, his voice echoing throughout the square. He slowly stepped forward. This was an opportunity. The rumored red-bone horse monkey and dragon were not present. This was the perfect opportunity to kill this brat. Du Xiaofu looked at Ji Zhen. His gaze did not reveal anything, but the chill in his heart grew colder and colder. This Ji family really did not plan on letting him go. Ji Zhen undoubtedly wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to attack. He did not cause trouble for the Ji family, but the Ji family came to cause trouble for him. This made Du Xiaofu feel rather helpless. Among the golden-winged rocks, the old granny, Jialo Jueyu, and the other golden-winged rocks, as well as the experts of the School of Agriculture and the Confucian School, all revealed cold expressions and were ready to attack at any time. They felt that they could not deal with Ji Zhen, but dealing with the other members of the Ji family was not a problem. Great-grandmother, don't worry. My father is fine. Du Xiaohuang spoke very casually. How could that little old man be her father's match? You want to kill me? Taking a deep breath, Du Xiaofu looked at Ji Zhen. His calm gaze then revealed a smile. Sure, I am very willing to give you this opportunity. I'm just afraid that you won't be able to withstand a single blow. Du Xiaofu's voice was very loud and deliberately mixed with profound energy. His domineering voice reverberated in the air, loud enough for everyone to hear clearly. When that arrogant voice rang out, it immediately caused everyone's eyes to twitch. This brat's tone is really big. Gasps of surprise could be heard from the surrounding crowd. Everyone looked at Du Xiaofu. Some were surprised, some were disdainful, some were curious, and some were puzzled. After all, forefather Ji Zhen was an absolute super powerhouse. Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Ji Zhen's old face stared intently at Du Xiaofu. Instead of getting angry, he laughed. His laughter resounded through the square, but everyone could hear the coldness in his voice. Ji Zhen's expression immediately darkened. He stared intently at Du Xiaofu and said, "Brat, you sure talk big. I hope your strength is as good as your tone. You have the right to talk big to this ancestor. You'll know once you try. Since you want to kill me, I don't mind killing a few more people from the Ji family." Du Xiaofu's voice was cold and domineering. He really didn't put Ji Zhen in his eyes. Not to mention that he could easily kill Ji Zhen with his current strength. Even the 7 saint puppets could easily deal with this old man. "Brat, you're courting death." Ji Zhen's expression grew uglier and uglier. He slowly walked forward, leaving a footprint on the square with every step. The ground around the footprint cracked and turned into powder. It seemed that Ji Zhen was venting his anger on the ground. "I think you're the one courting death." Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows and looked at all the people from the Ji family. "Do you want to come together or let that old man come alone? Otherwise, I'll have to make a move later. It's better to send you all on your way together." Arrogant, domineering, and domineering. Du Xiaofu's current attitude showed that he didn't put the Ji family in his eyes at all. On the square, all the living beings looked at Du Xiaofu with complicated expressions. Reckless brat. The experts from the Ji family immediately revealed cold expressions. They couldn't suppress their anger. "Brat, I have to say that you're the most arrogant person I've ever seen. Judging from the current situation, you're definitely going to die today." Ji Zhen stared at Du Xiaofu, the coldness in his eyes growing thicker and thicker. He didn't hide his killing intent at all. "You're noisy and full of nonsense. Let's do it quickly." The corners of Du Xiaofu's mouth curled into a cold smile. No matter how good Ji Zhen's state of mind was, he couldn't help but be angry at this moment. That brat didn't put him in his eyes at all. He originally wanted to humiliate the brat in front of everyone and then kill him to regain some face for the Ji family. Although there were some people around the brat, Ji Zhen could see that their strength was just average. No one would support this brat, so he couldn't be arrogant. But Ji Zhen didn't expect this brat to be so arrogant. Ji Zhen's laughter was deafening, and there was unconcealable anger in it. He was the dignified ancestor of the Ji family, someone who could cause a storm with a stomp of his foot, but this brat didn't put him in his eyes at all. The Ji family also had many experts, including the descendants of supreme beings like Ji Qianxing, who had also fallen at his hands. Ji Zhen couldn't hold back his anger and sneered loudly. "Brat, you're courting death." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Ji Zhen was already furious to the extreme. A wisp of livid color surged onto his old face, and his eyes were abnormally icy cold. The profound energy around his body instantly surged violently, and the resplendent talisman runes beneath his feet flashed as he directly pounced forward. Swish! With a wave of his hand, a yellow ray of energy from Ji Zhen's hand turned into a claw. It tore through space like lightning, and with a sharp sonic boom, fiercely shot toward Du Xiaofu's face. He didn't hold back his aura at the peak of the intermediate stage of the Saint Realm at all. This was enough to prove that Ji Zhen wanted to kill. At this moment, many people in the square were breaking out in cold sweat for Du Xiaofu. Of course, there were also many people who hoped that Du Xiaofu would be killed in one move, such as the people from the Yao family. Some of the demonic beast experts in the Beast Alliance were thinking the same thing. Jialo Jueyu, Old Lady Jialo Maoyuo, Hongyue, Zhou Xiaoluo, Violet Lotus Fairy, and Jiu Xingling were all watching closely. Only Du Xiaoba and Du Xiaohuang had faint, strange smiles on their faces. They weren't worried in the slightest. Everything happened as fast as lightning. In the face of Ji Zhen's sudden burst of power and fierce attack, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly revealed a cold smile. Then, a golden light flashed under his feet, and he quickly retreated with the carefree footwork. Buzz buzz. At the same time, a golden light shone brightly as the Azure Spirit Armor was set up. Behind the Azure Spirit Armor, a buzzing sound could be heard. The golden wings of the Great Peng behind the Azure Spirit Armor spread out. His entire person was like a great Peng in human form, about to soar into the sky. The Great Peng golden wings and the golden feather armor were a perfect fusion of nature. The magnificent armor and the domineering Great Peng golden wings made him look even more majestic and domineering, just like a god of war. At this moment, when Du Xiaofu set up the Azure Spirit Armor and golden rock wings, many of the surrounding experts were shocked. Swish! Ji Zhen's claws tore through the void and directly arrived in front of Du Xiaofu. In the blink of an eye, Du Xiaofu activated the Azure Spirit Armor and Great Peng golden wings. With a sneer on his face, he instantly disappeared under the claws. The sound of wind and thunder was deafening, and golden light shone brightly. At this moment, Ji Zhen's figure appeared more than 10 feet away. It's this strange method again. Is this Rock Emperor a human or a golden-winged Great Peng bird? The expressions of many people changed when they saw the green spirit armor and the great golden rock wings on Du Xiaofu's back, which was filled with a shocking energy and the sound of wind and thunder. It was this terrifying technique again. This kid seems to be stronger. Among the densely packed crowd, no one noticed a small and skinny figure in a corner. His face was deliberately covered by a hood, and there was no fluctuation of aura on his skinny body. He looked at Du Xiaofu and lifted his eyes slightly. There was a faint fluctuation in his eyes, and there was also coldness. He muttered softly, "He must have obtained that supreme treasure to be able to make such progress. I must obtain that supreme treasure." In the field, Ji Zhen was secretly surprised when his attack missed. His face was still ashen, as if he didn't expect Du Xiaofu to be so fast. He was as strange and powerful as the rumors said. He attacked with all his strength and didn't hold back, but the kid escaped his attack in an instant. How could Ji Zhen accept this? He couldn't put down his old face. Patriarch Ji Zhen originally wanted to turn this arrogant brat into pieces with a single move. How could he tolerate the fact that he had lost his inheritance? Whoa! A woo! There was a low roar, and the sound waves shook the earth. In an instant, Ji Zhen's profound qi surged out rapidly from his body. There were talisman engravings fluctuating, and the boundless energy of heaven and earth gathered in the air to form the shadow of an ancient, ferocious beast. It seemed to be alive, as if it really existed. The strange beast roared with a monstrous aura. An enormous pressure that could intimidate the primordial spirit spread out, as if a primordial ferocious beast had awakened. It was incomparably dazzling, causing the void to tremble. It illuminated the field with a dazzling light. What a powerful pressure! The weaker creatures in the surroundings didn't dare to look directly at this terrifying momentum at all. Many experts' expressions changed drastically, and their meridian spirits trembled and their profound qi stagnated. This is Ji Zhen's meridian spirit. Ji Zhen is going all out. Someone exclaimed. This aura was too terrifying. Look, there's a martial vein. Ji Zhen is even using his martial vein. Someone was shocked. Ji Zhen had only made one move, but Ji Zhen had already activated his martial vein and meridian spirit. Boom! Boom! Sure enough, as the meridian spirit was activated, the void around Ji Zhen trembled, and a terrifying aura spread out from it. Monstrous profound qi surged like an ocean, surging and boiling in the field. Talisman runes were outlined and covered his body. Ji Zhen had directly activated his martial vein. Rumble! The void was deafening, and amidst the terrifying aura, Jin was in the middle of the sky, covered in bright talisman runes and rippling with an ancient pressure that seemed to suppress everything. The Ji family's martial vein was definitely not ordinary. Die, brat! Boom! Ji Zhen's cold voice filled with killing intent abruptly resounded through the air. Boom! Just as the cold voice rang out, a terrifying light vortex appeared in the sky with Ji Zhen as the center. It was like a black hole, filled with a terrifying devouring power. The terrifying devouring power spread out, but it was blocked by the golden light from Du Xiaofu's golden preng wings that erupted from Du Xiaofu's back. The Ji family's martial vein is not simple. As Du Xiaofu looked at Ji Zhen, the golden rock wings on his back emitted a golden light. His gaze also wavered. The Ji family's martial veins were indeed not simple. Ji Zhen stood in the air, and at this moment, his eyes were as bright as the sun. He emitted a Dao sound that resounded in the air as he looked straight at Du Xiaofu. He slowly raised his head and said, "It's time to end this." And, as Ji Zhen's voice fell, he formed a hand seal, and the sky above this strange ancient field suddenly distorted. Then, the ferocious Meridian spirit rushed out and attacked Du Xiaofu. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.